Hi guys! Today we'll be recapping a story called Youngest Princess. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot. Enjoy! As the story opens, the High Mage is getting a report in her office when she suddenly starts to feel exhausted. The Mage stops her report and leaves to ensure that the High Mage takes a break, as she is an important figure in their kingdom. Just as she's about to hit the hay after a long bath, a magical rune starts glowing beneath her bed. She is unable to breathe or utilize her magic, and in an instant, she vanishes. An old sage once prophesied to the royal family of Hyperion that the kingdom would be bathed in everlasting glory the moment a third star appeared. In the Hyperion Empire, the sun represents the emperor, the moon the empress, and the stars the prince and princess. Thus, the third star signifies the empire's third child. However, the Hyperion family had trouble bearing a third child for hundreds of generations, until a princess was born, and the birth caused chaos across the continent. Princess Enisha Rodgo Hyperion is the third child in the line. She is just 6 months old, yet she remembers her former life as the High Priest, one of the 3 renowned rulers of the magical Sky Kingdom, Archus, and noted genius. She still doesn't understand the mysterious magic rune, but she does realize that it seals away her magic. To make matters worse, she is now a princess cherished by the Hyperion Kingdom, so she realizes that returning to Archus when she grows up will be impossible. So she resolves to accept her fate. Having an adult's mind trapped in a baby's body, though, makes her feel somewhat uneasy, and her maid perceives her facial expression as a state of emergency. Diaper change, food, and all the means the servants are trying to entertain her are driving her crazy. But she knows that if she screams, they would be discouraged, so she breaks into a smile, making them fall for her. Then her stern father walks in, and all it takes is her smile to light up his mood. Initially, Emperor Rodgo isn't really fond of Enisha. He merely drops by occasionally to see whether she's okay. And the same is true for her twin prince brothers, who drop by only when they want to skip their tedious lessons. After receiving unwelcome treatment from her new family, she resolves to take revenge, and her first target is her father, Rodgo. It's been days since the Emperor last checked on her, so when the time comes, she offers him the most adorable baby eyes. However, this only makes the Emperor worried, so he promptly orders a doctor. Following the doctor's confirmation that Enisha is perfectly well and merely fond of him, the Emperor begins paying her frequent visits and showering her with gifts. This behavior confuses the staff, who have never seen the Emperor act so affectionately toward anyone, not even the 2 princes. One day, Rodgo tries to touch Enisha and hesitates since his hand is covered in people's blood. But his defenses begin to break when his adorable daughter cuddles up to him, and from that moment on, Enisha's first prisoner is under control. After that day, everything changes as the Emperor starts to show signs of undying love for his daughter. OMG, the once tsundere father is now a simp, cutie. Of course, Enisha did not forget to show her father some fan service in a very cute style that goes straight to her father's heart. Everybody is starting to adjust to the Emperor's new side, including the servants. They meticulously report to him every day, making sure he knows everything. Even her attempt to roll over is a huge thing. Next, the Emperor consults the royal painter on the state of the princess's portrait, and Enisha gives her stamp of approval, but the Emperor clearly isn't happy about it. The Emperor emits a cold attitude, not liking the portrait, because it doesn't do credit to his daughter's charms, driving the painter to tremble in fear as he begs forgiveness. It would not be surprising if the Emperor jails the painter, considering he has already jailed one innocent person due to her. So Enisha must immediately begin her rescue operation. First, capture the Emperor's attention, then stir him up a little by demanding something until he realizes that she likes the painting. Step 3 is to demonstrate her undying love for it, and finally, finish it off with an embrace. The Emperor's mood improves, and the life of the royal painter is spared! That night, the 2 princes are getting bored, so they decide to pay a visit to their little sister. They start talking about the increased royal security after an assassination attempt by an assassin who disguised herself as a maid and tried to kill Enisha. When they get close to Enisha's room, they discover the door is open, so they rush inside to find all the servants dead and the princess no longer in her crib. The Hyperion Empire is the most powerful nation on the continent, and many nations resent them for ruling over them and collecting taxes from them. And so her birth as the 3rd star princess is a major setback for those who detest the Hyperion family, which is why many are trying to have her killed. Upon waking up in her maid's arms, who is frantically running, Enisha realizes that another assassin is undoubtedly attempting to kill her. can I just add that the maid totally deserves a raise? Just as the maid is about to reach the hidden entrance, the assassin comes into play. So Enisha has no choice but to use her limited magic to distract the assassin long enough for the guards to reach them. As the assassin rushes towards Enisha, blood begins to stain the floor, signaling that the assassin has been killed by the twins, who arrive in time to save her. The Empire's first and second stars were born as twins, with Helard as the eldest, who looks exactly like their father. A violent character with amazing swordsmanship who has already begun accompanying their father to battle, and he is rumored to be the expected successor to the throne. The second prince, Rochiel, takes after their mother, the late empress, in appearance. He is known to be more sophisticated and icy than his brother Helard, and though swordsmanship is also one of his strengths, he despises physical exertion. However, despite their opposite characteristics, the twins share one trait. They're both psychos. As we all know, the twins aren't particularly fond of Enisha, but this changes following the first assassination attempt. That night, the assassin disguised as a maid wraps a pillow around the helpless Enisha until she can't breathe. When she opens her eyes, she sees Helard, who has blood on his face and is removing the cushion from her face. Rochiel decides to leave everything to the guards now that Enisha is safe, fearing that Enisha will throw a fit, but Helard believes it will be entertaining, so they test it by sticking their heads in the crib. Enisha, on the other hand, has no idea what's going on until she realizes that these two have just saved her life. The twins are amazed that their little sister isn't crying after what happened to her, while Enisha sees this as her chance to win over her brothers. And she immediately succeeds in winning over the insane twins by relying on her strongest suit, her adorable baby face. They are now slaves to her cuteness. Following that day, they start paying her visits. Initially, they display their adoration in a too violent manner, threatening her like a toy as they throw her up in the air and pinch her cheeks. But eventually, they learn to be gentle with her. After her brothers rescue her once more, Enisha rewards them with her precious smile. But Helard couldn't help but notice that she isn't crying again this time. Rochiel can only think of one reason, and that is because she is special. Helard becomes envious as he begins to cuddle Enisha, and the two begin to argue over who will carry the adorable baby as the soldiers arrive too late. Rochiel shoots Helard a glance that suggests he should punish the incompetent guards with his terrifying nature. The guards fall on their knees, pleading with Prince Helard to forgive them, but the prince reminds them how special their sister is and makes it clear that he has no intention of sparing their lives. However, killing them would be too easy, and so the two psychos are looking forward to letting their younger sister choose the punishment. Like, how? She can't even speak yet! Enisha is aware of the guards' sincere devotion for her, and she knows that they would be helpless against the assassin today if it weren't for the twins. But since she was in danger, she believes that 10 days in jail would be a reasonable punishment for them. Now, her dilemma is figuring out how to express this to her brothers, so she uses her hands to show them 10 fingers. But Helard sees this as a very violent punishment, which is to cut off the guards' 10 fingers. Enisha goes into a panic and waves her hands, leading Helard to think she wants to cut their arms. Then she extends her entire arm to describe handcuffs, but this only convinces Helard that she wants to slice the guards' throats. Then, Rochiel realizes that Enisha's wiggling body suggests that she probably wants to cut off their limbs. There is definitely no ordinary brother in this family. Helard draws his sword, leaving Enisha with no option but to let out a weeping cry. So while Helard freaks out, Rochiel thankfully realizes that Enisha dislikes the sword. And as soon as Helard sheaths his blade, Enisha immediately stops sobbing. After Helard sees Enisha make the most endearing, sad expression, he decides to let the guards go for the time being. Our princess has saved lives once again. Whew! Meanwhile, in Archis, the left mage, Baluin, learns of a new source of magic uncovered in the Hyperion Empire, which they assume has something to do with the newborn princess. He wants to find out more, as he is desperate for information on their missing high mage. So our baby girl basically got reincarnated in the same world. Finally, the day arrives when Enisha is able to call her father Dada, and he is so surprised to hear the word that it keeps ringing in his head. The Emperor then turns to the terrified maids to ensure he heard correctly, and they congratulate him on the princess's first word. Enisha repeats herself, growing increasingly concerned as the Emperor shows no sign of responding, when he is actually so overjoyed that he has declared today a national holiday. The holiday was eventually cancelled thanks to the Hyperion royal advisors, who risked their lives to stop the Emperor. Rodgo has already declared the princess's first rollover a holiday, and they are concerned that if he continues to do so, all 365 days will become holidays. The love of the father. Today, the emperor summons all high-ranking nobles, and while they wait, they express their gratitude that the holiday proposal has been cancelled, and they begin to wonder when they will finally see the princess. However, their attention is drawn to one noble who spots the table's red cloth, which represents bloodshed, and they begin to suspect that the emperor intends to kill them for opposing his plans. Just then, the emperor shows up with the twins, but it is the princess who catches their attention. As everyone watches in disbelief, the emperor sets Enisha on the long table and walks over to the other side, smiling and encouraging his daughter to crawl to him. No one can believe this is the same person who is supposedly a beast. After Enisha does her part and crawls up to her father, the emperor asks for the noble's thoughts on his genius daughter. At last, the nobility figures out that the meeting is just the emperor showing off his daughter's crawling abilities, so they begin to lavish her with praise, much to the emperor's satisfaction. Next, he shares the exciting news that the princess's first birthday is just around the corner and asks that they extend an invitation to every noble family on the entire continent. The capital city of Hyperion begins its celebration, and the twins visit a shop that sells a limited edition jewelry set marking the princess's birthday. Helard purchases 2 of everything, and Rochiel buys 3. Care to guess why Rochiel purchased a total of 3 each? The first set is for gifting, the second is for him to keep, and the third is to display. And the city's lively celebration of Enisha's birthday has made the twins very proud. Meanwhile, Enisha is finally able to practice walking, and the maids express their excitement for her upcoming birthday after a brief break. She is then startled to learn that the mysterious Archis kingdom has agreed to attend her birthday party. Archis is a tiny nation in the sky where the mages who live don't age due to the magical powers of the land, and the kingdom is deeply influential across the continent due to its reputation as the birthplace of magic. The 3 mages that rule Archis are Beluin, the left mage, who is in charge of their diplomatic relations, Noxita, the right mage, who is in charge of the legal system, and finally, we have the high mage, the most powerful mage in Archis, endowed with unparalleled magical might. Lastly, because Archis is a secretive nation, they've never sent delegations to other nations until now, which alarms Enisha. Even though her powers are weak, she is still concerned that Archis will discover her true identity, leading to an inevitable war. Yeah, that's probably going to happen given that she's the 3rd star that Hyperion family was foretold to have, and she's also a valuable ruler of Archis. Noxita is Archis's designated representative for Enisha's birthday celebration, but he appears uninterested and only interested in seeing the High Mage. If she is indeed dead, he vows to resurrect her. When Beluan notices that Noxita is quite concerned, he explains that his trip to Hyperion is not in vain. Rather, he wants Noxita to test whether or not he can perceive the High Mage's magic in the location where they discovered a new source of magic. Additionally, Beluan guarantees Noxita that the High Mage is still alive and that they will find her no matter what. The princess's birthday has finally arrived, and while they prepare Enisha for the occasion, the maid mentions that the young prince of Jadkar will be present, which Enisha finds intriguing. But before the maid can say anything else, the twins arrive to check on their adorable little sister. Because of the Jadkar kingdom's war for the throne, they throw the Jadkar prince to Hyperion as a pawn, so the twins plan to keep the prince away from Enisha. Enisha knows that Jadkar is a kingdom in the cold mountains, and she can already tell that he won't be treated well in Hyperion since he's being used as a pawn. At last, she's all dressed up and her brothers can't help but be smitten. Enisha is being carried by Rochiel when the Emperor shows up and swiftly takes her away from the brothers. As the 3 lads exchange angry looks, Rodgo teases the twins, telling them that they should become emperors if they want to get Enisha from him. Then, to demonstrate the might of the Empire, he orders the twins to behave themselves, a command that they joyfully comply with. They finally open up the door to the terrace where the public can glimpse the princess for the first time. The sight and sound of so many cheers shock Enisha, and she quickly comes to the realization that the entire Hyperion nation has lost its mind, not just her family. She can't disappoint those who love her at this point, so she smiles and waves her hand, which the boys think is adorable. Then, out of nowhere, 2 long-range magic arrows try to assault them, but the attacks are rendered ineffective due to the Empire's magical barrier. The Emperor only calls for the twins' names, and they already know what to do. The Emperor controls the Empire's barrier, which allows the twins to teleport. Just as Enisha is thinking about how to improve the shield, her brothers materialize back, having already captured the attackers. The twins execute them on the spot, and the Emperor seizes the chance to declare that regardless of strategy, anyone attempting to eliminate their precious third star must be prepared to die, as there is no other way out. They attack, they protect, but most importantly, they have Enisha's back. The banquet night starts when the Emperor walks in holding Enisha and the twins by his side. The moment they settle into their royal seats, the nobility begins to form a queue to offer presents. A collection so vast that the Emperor could construct an annex to house them all. Afterwards, the nobility finds it amazing as an archmage approaches, but what makes Enisha so startled is that the mage is Noxita, which makes her nervous. As soon as the Emperor notices this, he takes Enisha's hand and looks into her eyes to ask for her suggestions on how to take out the mage responsible for her low mood. Enisha quickly smiles to pacify her father, and it surely works wonders. More than just a physical token, Archis provided a plan for an official cultural exchange with Hyperion as their present. Noxita notifies the Emperor of their proposal to send mages to Hyperion to share their magic in exchange for learning about Hyperion's culture, which the Emperor greatly approves. Enisha is relieved to have survived the night, and when she sees Noxita looking at her, she waves goodbye, causing Noxita to blush. Oh, our baby has also captured a mage! As the Prince of Jadkar makes his way down the aisle to present his gift, the nobles cast him sidelong glances and mutter insults his way. Enisha, though, recognizes the lifeless eyes in the prince as she did in Noxita and Beloan when she first met them, and she is certain that the prince will undoubtedly cause trouble in the future if he's not properly guided. The prince kneels and stutters his introduction as Prince Cahill, drawing scorn from nobles who mock him for being a royal ignorant of the Empire's language. But the young prince continues and presents the princess with a shimmering white hide of wool. Enisha feels bad for the prince, so she makes sure to show how much she adores the prince's present. However, there is one person who is not pleased with her overblown enthusiasm, and that is her father, who looks scary when he's jealous. If this continues, the Emperor may end up killing the innocent prince, so she employs her weapon, screaming her love for her father, dazzling those adorable baby eyes, and embracing him. Her charm is definitely stronger than her magic. The Emperor eventually calms down and accepts Prince Cahill's gift, and the night continues with the other nations presenting their gifts. Seeing that the princess is clearly exhausted, the Emperor gives the twins the task of escorting her to her room. Enisha is surprised to find the white fur Prince Cahill gave her already in her room, and admits that the Emperor is a wonderful father for not throwing it away simply because she likes it. What amazes her even more is the twins' present of a pair of swords to her, which is clearly overkill for a 1-year-old, but she likes it nonetheless and bestows them with her adorable smile. To end her day, her maid has put her to bed, but she awakens in the middle of the night to find that all her maids have passed out. Enisha concludes that magic makes the maids unconscious, and the person responsible appears. Thankfully, not an assassin, but Noxita. He then asks the 1-year-old if she knows where the High Mage is. He starts to describe her to Enisha, but what really gets to her is his saddened expression and how he says the High Mage is important to him. It reminds her of the first time she found Noxita, so lifeless in the dirtiest and most dangerous area. But seeing the light in his dark green eyes, she helped him get through life, and Noxita dedicated his life to her. She apologizes and pats his cheeks as if to console him, making him want to kidnap her more. He realizes he cannot take the princess with him, but he assures her that he will return before bidding her farewell for the time being. Meanwhile, in Rushfelt Manor, the Countess is sorting through the mail she received that day and comes upon one with the royal family seal, which she reads with so much excitement that she quickly visits the Empire the next day. Despite her pride as a great educator who graduated top-notch from Hellinor Academy and the continent's premier school, she eagerly accepts the Emperor's invitation without hesitation. The Emperor goes on to explain that she'll be in charge of the princess's education and proudly tells her that there won't be much to teach because his little girl is quite intelligent. This leads the Countess to believe that the rumors are true because he is blinded by his love for the princess. But a child is still a child, and she is certain that the princess's temperament won't be easy to deal with. Hey lady, wait until you meet our baby girl. Speaking of our baby girl, Enisha entices Countess Rushfelt with her charming demeanor as she attempts to walk to her father. The Emperor's murderous aura quickly fades as he embraces his daughter, and the Countess finds it difficult to believe she is witnessing the Emperor's other side. She shows the Emperor her teaching aids, both age-appropriate and more advanced, which she plans to use as the princess progresses. However, while she is explaining to the Emperor, Enisha goes to the table, slides the cubes, and solves the puzzle. The Countess is so shocked, finally agreeing that the princess is indeed a genius and an exceptional talent that their world will never witness again, making the Emperor give her a "I told you so" look. As a result, the Countess provides her with fairy tale books to read, but she's more interested in magic books and complains about how hard it is to pretend to be normal. She wakes up that night in her father's arms, who's with the twins. Her father is telling her goodbye and informs her that he and Helard are going on a pearl-digging expedition and will return before her second birthday, while Rochiel promises to watch after her while they're gone. Just before they leave, her father kisses her, and Helard squeezes her, promising to bring her the biggest pearl in the world. Are they really taking down a kingdom for pearls? I cannot with this family. When she awakens the next day, Rochiel gives her a detailed account of how Rodgo and Helard went to war, including how the assassination attempts had vanished after her birthday. But Rodgo was adamant about carrying out his declaration of war. Even though Rochiel is a young prince acting as emperor at the palace, no one voiced dissatisfaction. This is because the ministers trust the Hyperion family's extraordinary intelligence better than anyone else. And because Rochiel was friendlier than Rodgo, some nobles even liked the way he treated them. This is how the time went by, and now that she is nearly 2 years old, she has finally mastered walking after months of stumbling, and despite her imperfect pronunciation, she can carry on a decent conversation thanks to Countess Rushfeldt's teachings. She tells the maid she's going on a picnic because she finished her task early that day. The weather is lovely, and she can almost feel the wind as she walks outside. Suddenly, she hears one of the maids scolding someone, and she comes to a halt when she sees the lad and recognizes him as the boy who gave her wolf fur at the party and extends her hand to him, inviting him to join her. Since he doesn't react, she tugs him along with her, while the maid is concerned that if the Emperor or the twin princes find out, they will be in trouble. Now she sits next to him, observing his appearance and taking note of his fearless eyes. He reminds her of the left and right mages, which makes her worried about him. She decides to give him food because he probably doesn't get enough. Just as she's about to open the basket, he approaches her and says he'll do it, which surprises her because he's not stuttering this time. Jadkar is a small nation located in the far north of the continent, within the snowy mountains, and the nation's eternal snow is considered to be the work of the spirits of snow, giving Jadkar power and mystery. However, the royal family of this nation is a total mess. The king is ill and bedridden, and his mistress, Mrs. Cartina, and her son are manipulating him. The queen died while giving birth to Prince Cahill, who was the legitimate heir to the throne, but because the mistress wanted her own son to inherit the throne, Cahill was removed as heir and given away to the Hyperion Empire. His frail appearance and lack of clothing are clear signs that Cahill was mistreated. He is also known to have difficulty speaking as a result of his family's abuse. However, this appears to be more inaccurate now that Enisha sees him speaking wonderfully. She suspects he's only acting stupid so that no one will take him seriously, and believes that if he could just gain some weight, he would look normal. But she knows Cahill will not be treated well in Hyperion, so she gives him her hair accessory, which is probably worth millions, and wishes for him to run away and live freely somewhere. When he doesn't answer, she puts it in his hand and encourages him to be free. And just as he's about to tell her something, the maid interrupts them to eat, and the prince walks away without saying anything. Enisha is skilled at everything but drawing, so today in Rochiel's office, Enisha tries her hardest to draw the basket of fruit, but she fails miserably. Rochiel notices her problem and assists her by making a sketch she can replicate, which she greatly appreciates because it is so different from how Helard previously helped her. Helard saw that she was sketching an apple that day, so he decided to smash the reference apple so it would appear like her artwork. Right, the reference must adjust to his baby sister's drawing. Speaking of her brother Helard, he and their father have managed to overthrow the Quantea Empire, and the king is now escaping, leaving his entire kingdom in ruins. He and his family use the secret route, and he now wishes he hadn't followed Hyperion's resistance organization and offered to kill the princess at his command. It seems the Emperor isn't just randomly invading Quantea for their pearls, the kingdom is actually involved in the assassinations. No one can escape Emperor Rodgo's fury, and the entire royal family has been seized from their hidden route, tied up, and returned to Quantea's palace. Rodgo sits on the throne, then orders his troops to pull the queen closer to him. The queen resists because she fears being molested by Rodgo. Like, duh, this daddy is merely interested in the pearl necklace she is wearing, as it is the famous Quantea's tears. Now he tells his troops to search the palace for the perfect present for their princess, Enisha. But Helard has already found what he thinks she'll love: a massive pearl ball. This father-son duo is really amusing and cute. Then the Emperor gets a highly urgent message. Well, not really. It is simply a letter from Enisha expressing her longing for the two of them. The Emperor gets to his feet, orders everyone to clean up, and then mercilessly executes the king so he may return home quickly. Well, he obviously messed with the wrong empire, so he deserves it. Time has passed, and although neither Rodgo nor Helard are physically present, the entire kingdom is celebrating Anisha's second birthday with great spirit. She receives numerous gifts from other countries, while Rochiel renovated the palace library as his birthday gift to her. Also, she can now use her magic just enough to produce a puddle, but she decides to live normally without using magic, at least until she regains more of her power, which she eagerly awaits. Preceding the Emperor's arrival, a concerned Countess Rushefelt visits Prince Rochiel's office, expressing her concern that Princess Enisha may have forgotten the faces of the Emperor and Prince Helard after being away for 6 months. Considering her insane brother, this is probably good news for him. Rochiel then carries his baby sister, asking if she recalls their father and Hellard's face. But before she can respond, he assures her that she shouldn't be concerned if she doesn't. His expression is one of pure joy, and Enisha chooses to play along by acting as if she can't recognize them. Such a selfish, cute brother. At long last, the Emperor, Prince Helard, and their army have returned, and the entire kingdom is rejoicing at their arrival. At the palace's entry, Prince Rochiel, holding Princess Enisha, greets them, and the Emperor immediately embraces Enisha. Helard then does the same, but with more smooching. This duo wastes no time in presenting their gifts to Enisha: a massive pearl from Helard and a crown from their father. As they eagerly await Anisha's show of happiness, they are taken aback when she hides behind Rochiel and completely forgets about them. You guys hear that? 2 hearts have just stopped beating, so cruel. They are currently discussing the matter within the palace, and while the Emperor and Helard appear to be quite concerned, Rochiel finds it very amusing. Rochiel goes on to explain that forgetting the faces of the people they haven't seen for a long time is normal for babies, which is something the 2 boys can't accept. They take turns introducing themselves to Enisha, which makes her feel so lightheaded, so Rochiel stops them, reminding them not to press the baby too hard, and convinces them that she will remember them in time. Helard is so irritated by Rochiel's casual comments, yet he can't bring himself to curse in front of Enisha, even though he wants to. Cutie. However, Helard is not the only one who is furious. The Emperor threatens Rochiel with deportation to Quantea, given that the kingdom there needs a new governor. Rochiel gets shivers thinking of staying there alone without his baby sister. So he stops teasing them and finally informs them of Countess Rushfeld's solution. Living with Enisha for a while will be necessary until she starts to remember them. The 3 boys who are staring at her are probably unsure how to share Anisha's time, and so the Emperor takes the initiative and takes her first. He leaves with Enisha, leaving poor Helard. The Emperor brings Enisha to his office, which is her first visit given that she usually stays at her own palace. Suddenly, a swarm of servants bearing mountains of paperwork for the Emperor arrives. Seeing so much work makes her dizzy because it reminds her of the excessive workload she had to do while she was still the High Mage. To brighten Anisha's mood, the Emperor wants to give her an apple, but there's a catch. She has to call him Daddy first. She's like a small puppy. The Emperor then begins the paperwork, and Enisha discovers that nobles attempted to reform the tax system while the Emperor was away, but Rochiel stopped them. Can't lie, I want Rochiel to become the Emperor. And now that the Emperor has returned, the royal advisor advises that it is now time to establish a date for the Archist diplomats to enter Hyperion. The Emperor has planned it for a month from now, which Enisha thinks is okay. As long as Noxita and Beluan aren't coming with the mages, she's confident she can fool anyone. The Emperor then looks at Enisha and surprises her by summoning the mage to see if he can restore her memory. She can't be inspected by a mage since it would be too obvious that she possesses magical abilities. See? You got yourself into trouble! Del Heron, the palace's head mage, enters, and Enisha recognizes him as a man born with remarkable magical abilities who worked hard to achieve his position. Del is relieved to have prepared a spell that aids in memory recovery, and he feels confident that he can help the princess. However, in order to do so, he must examine Anisha's condition by holding her hand, which our girl strongly opposes, as she should. Time for her to act of throwing tantrums and crying to her father about how she doesn't like magic. But none of it works against the Emperor, so as a punishment, she begins to get angry, wrecking her poor father's heart again. With no other option, Enisha surrenders to the head mage, who looks at her fearfully, as he already knows that she is far stronger than the twins, even without assessing her powers. Upon touching Enisha's hand, he is surprised and tells the Emperor that the young princess possesses sufficient magical abilities to become a mage. Well, she's more than that. As Del keeps digging, he finds out that Enisha's power is being sealed off inside her, and to prevent Del from informing the Emperor, she is forced to use her magic. Enisha paused time for everyone but Del, expressing that he must keep her powers a secret. After that, Enisha shuts off her magic, while Del is still so confused, since only the most powerful magicians are capable of creating such powerful magic. Right at that moment, Enisha starts to gasp for air. Blood starts coming out of her mouth, and she passes out. She is currently in her room, and when the palace doctor examined her, it appears that Enisha suffered internal injuries as a result of sudden magic depletion. Well, she did stop the time, so... The doctor has pledged to do everything in his power to save Enisha, who is in critical condition. But that is not an option for the Emperor. He does not want the doctor to do everything he can, but he has to save his daughter no matter what. When Enisha awakens, her brothers are there to greet her with a hug, and Helard is so happy when she breaks the act and says she remembers him. She then recalls using her sealed-up magic to pause time for 3 seconds, and given that she passed out during the evaluation, she assumes that the Emperor must have already killed Del. She feels terrible and begins to cry since the head mage is dead because of her, but she is shocked that they haven't killed him yet. Her family is actually waiting for her to wake up before making a decision because the mage promised to fulfill his first vow to her. 3 vows have been handed down through the ages. These are vows made by those in positions of power to dedicate themselves to someone. The first vow wages the person's personal power, the second their heart, and the third their soul to whom they want to pledge. It is a serious matter, which is probably why they haven't killed Del yet. And looking at her brothers, it looks like Del actually kept her powers a secret. Helard informs Enisha that she can refuse the pledge if she so desires, and while Rochiel acknowledges that Del could be an excellent magic teacher for her, he agrees with Helard. The twins swear to protect her and will get their hands dirty for her, urging her not to learn magic because they are afraid she may faint again. Still, little sister is dead on learning magic. She enchants the twins once more with her charming smile and claims that she wants to protect them, and they can't help but embrace her. Meanwhile, word of her awakening reaches her father, who is now rushing to meet her. Rodgo's mother died shortly after giving birth to him, and he is known to be a murderer as a result, so his childhood wasn't great. However, Rodgo's Hyperion blood is thicker than anyone else's, and he displayed no guilt while sitting on the throne, soaked in his family's blood. He reasons that being the strongest of the bunch, it is only fair that he be the emperor, so showing affection to anyone is really not in his vocabulary. But that changed when Princess Enisha was born. Just as he was conceived by killing his mother, the Empress died shortly after giving birth to the princess. He feels the connection to her because of this, but he never intended to express worthless sentiments to the princess. But somehow he ends up loving her and becoming his everything. The Emperor, entering Enisha's room and instantly kneeling down to kiss her hand, makes her feel guilty, knowing that he must have been upset with himself for what happened to her. Her father's face lights up with relief as she offers him the biggest hug and calls him Daddy, suggesting that she remembered his identity. She then argues to her father that she wants to study magic from Del, and the Emperor, just like how the twins reacted earlier, is opposed to the notion because it may be dangerous for her. Our not-so-innocent baby here uses her powers again by tilting her head slightly, using those puppy eyes and asking her father with a weeping tone if she's truly not permitted to do magic. So, there you have it. The princess's wish is the Emperor's command. After the Emperor has agreed, he summons the head mage to make his first vow to the princess. Del chants his vow while on his knees, offering to pass over the authority of his power to the princess, which Enisha gratefully accepts. Del doesn't waste time after making the vow and immediately requests a private chat with Enisha, which the Emperor grants, leaving the two of them in her room. Enisha looks stunned when Del asks her if she is the High Mage, but from his serious expression, it appears that he's already convinced of her identity. He then reveals that they previously met at Helinor when she was studying at the academy and he was working as a teacher, and that seeing her distinctive gold-colored magic and high-level magic yesterday is what makes him so sure. And the fact that the investigators from Archis's mage unit informed him that they sensed the High Mage's power in Hyperion also helps to round out the picture. Knowing that Archis is already looking into her disappearance is terrible news for her, but the good news is that Del is willing to assist her in remaining concealed. Afterwards, he reveals that the Emperor summoned all the Empire's doctors and magicians as she slept. But this time, instead of losing his temper and killing everyone, the Emperor remained composed. His point is that Enisha, as the third star, will undoubtedly change the fate of the Empire's harshness. He then clutches her hand and feels honored to have devoted his life to her. The Emperor arrives that night, just as the twins are pressuring her to reveal what she discussed with Del. She can't help but feel awful for her father after hearing Del's story earlier, so she decides to thank him by sleeping with him tonight. The twin princes go on an angry tirade about why Enisha will sleep with their father, and Rochiel wants to go along with it so they can share the Emperor's bed. However, Enisha quickly ends the argument by telling them that she will sleep with them later, and that for the time being, she will just sleep with their father. On their way to the Emperor's chamber, she finds out that Helard had a tantrum after she collapsed, destroying her palace, so her father suggests that she sleep with him till she gets well. The following day, the doctor updates the Emperor on her progress, telling him that she'll be sleeping a lot and will completely recover with regular meals and medication. A cold breeze wakes her up in the middle of the night, and snowflakes land on her cheeks. She is startled to see Cahill in a spirit form, with white-colored hair. He begins to talk to her, asking if she remembers him and expressing concern that she might forget him. When she sees his sadness through his eyes, she touches his cheeks, telling him not to cry, and he blushes before vanishing into thin air. Upon waking up, she looks around to check if seeing Cahill was only a dream. But the sight of snowflakes on her hand serves as a sign that what transpired was indeed true. Reading about Jedkar, Enisha learns that only snow and ice existed at the beginning, and that Jedkar discovered a beautiful silver wolf while exploring the continent. Because of worldly wars, an arrow and sword murdered Jedkar's longtime friend, the Silver Wolf. As Jedkar mourned over his bloody companion, a huge silver wolf appeared and told him he was the spirit of snow and ice. After burying his only friend, the mysterious being asks him for any wishes, and he begs for strength to avenge his friend. The Silver Wolf gave Jedkar powers and froze his bleeding heart, which fueled his rage, and he drenched his hands in the blood of those who killed his buddy, becoming the ruler of the frozen region with his Silver Wolf banner. Enisha is done reading the founding myth of Jedkar, and she believes it is similar to what she knows. But she is adamant that the energy emanating from Cahill the night before was not magic, and it was also unique from the evil energy that Beiluan possessed. Instead, she attributes it to the spirit's might, as it managed to evade the palace's strict security procedures. She begins to wonder why he approaches her and says unusual things to her. While Cahill is sleeping, he begins having a nightmare, remembering how he played with his puppy when his stepmother and brother appeared. Mrs. Cartina creeps behind Cahill, telling him that he is being disobedient, so he quickly apologizes, pleading not to hurt his puppy. But his brother, Ascion, only laughs, and they butcher the puppy in front of him. Cahill cries for his friend and asks why they are mistreating him after he did everything they asked and didn't pursue the family riches or throne, but their laughing sounds are all he receives. Upon waking up, he breathes heavily but takes comfort in the jewelry Enisha gave him, remembers her pleasant face, and is glad that she remembers him. Suddenly, mystical voices ask about his wish-making experience and encourage him to make more wishes. He calmly instructs them to halt and walks to the window to daydream about Enisha, the light in his life. Del is loving his new routine of picking up Enisha and walking together to the library for their magic lessons. He then tells her that Archist diplomats arrived the other day, and they all seem to be very interested in her because they now know that she is the first Hyperion born with magical abilities. Nevertheless, she intends to stay in her palace, as she doesn't think anything positive will come from meeting them. When Enisha inquires about any more intriguing news, he muses for a bit and remembers that the mages in the palace are looking into a peculiar incident in which the trees in the Golden Forest froze, as there could be no other explanation for the occurrence beyond magic. Despite her belief in Cahill's abilities, she is taken aback when he informs her that the mages from Archis suspect that she may have used her magic to accomplish it. She refrains from commenting further out of fear of exposing Cahill and making things difficult for him. The Emperor and the twin princes discuss how Enisha needs friends, as advised by Countess Rushfeld, because children her age need to build friendships. These boys know nothing about friendship, so they all remain silent for a while before the Emperor suggests that they can find the little princess's friends, given that it is what she needs, and they all nod in agreement. 3 days later, Enisha is hosting a tea party for girls her age, like a whole bunch of crybabies. As she struggles to deal with the situation, her father comes over to see how she's enjoying herself. However, things get worse when the girls start crying at the sight of the Emperor's menacing face, so Enisha persuades him to return to work, leaving the girls still reeling from their emotions. Enisha tries to comfort them, but the girls start to leave, leaving only one girl with her. She approaches the girl with the intention of having a conversation with her, but as she gets closer, the girl purposely knocks over the teacup, causing it to fall. The maid arrives to clean up, but instead of taking responsibility, she plays dumb and accuses Enisha. Enisha chooses to remain calm while her furious brother Helard shows up out of nowhere and tries to assault the deceitful girl. Elder brother, let's go! The Hyperion bloodline is known for their might, and people often regarded them as gods, but they were also feared due to their predatory nature, and the twins are no exception. Their views, however, shifted dramatically with Anisha's birth, particularly on the night the twins murdered her would-be killer. She gives them warmth, smiles at them even though they reek of blood, and it is the first time they felt loved. Aww. That explains why these two boys are so protective of her and have been watching her the entire time she's been at her first tea party. They are more focused than a CCTV and saw that the tea was purposefully spilled by Marquess Iliosa's daughter. Rochelle intends to discuss this with the Marquess, but Helard appears to be impatient and has already confronted the lady. The party is over thanks to Helard, and he is now getting a lecture from Rochelle, who believes that no young ladies would ever visit Enisha again because he scared them away. Helard is so adorable as he listens intently and regrets what he did, while Enisha is relieved to have a normal brother like Rochelle, or so she thought. This normal brother of hers has already devised 10 distinct plans to bring down the entire Iliosa family. He really said handle everything with class. Helard then apologizes to Enisha for spoiling the party, but our girl is actually relieved that she will never have to do this again, so she pats her brother on the head and thanks him for defending her. He rushes over to embrace her, and the three of them carry on with their tea party, enjoying each other's company. I love them so much. Their sweet moment is cut short when a servant shows up to tell them that the Arch's magicians have asked to meet with Enisha. The fact that the magicians seek Anisha's time without first scheduling an appointment irritates the twins, who believe the mages are quite proud of themselves. But as an aspiring mage, Enisha persuades her brothers that meeting them is for the best. Actually, she just wants to meet them once in order to put them to rest, as she fears that the archmages will do something much worse just to see her. Among the archmages who have come with head mage Del is Tenerife, whom Enisha remembers from when he was a tiny child who aspired to be just like her. She smiles proudly at him while the twins reveal their menacing side as they confront the mages, wanting to know why they want to meet the princess. As the group's official spokesman, Tenerife reveals that upon discovering the princess's magical abilities, they intend to teach her magic themselves as they are the greatest. But just as Tenerife is about to elaborate, Helard interrupts him, obviously uninterested in his proposal, hence Enisha chooses to handle the mages before the situation escalates and someone dies. She approaches the mages, and Tenerife tries to persuade her of their pure intention to teach her magic. But she is aware that their true goal is to examine her until they discover her link to the High Mage. Enisha then rejects their offer, asserting that she's already exceptionally gifted and does not require their assistance. Meanwhile, Beluan is witnessing all of this at Archis in real time, and the rain today is reminding him of the first time he met the High Mage. Beluan is from the Lagos family, whose blood can summon dark familiars, and he was on the run that day when he got surrounded by what appear to be soldiers who were intending to kill him. After cutting himself with a knife, he called two familiars, who eliminated his assailants and left no evidence of their presence. He was near death from exhaustion when the High Wizard, who had been sent to kill him, appeared out of nowhere and offered him a helping hand. Beluan really wants her to come back to take responsibility for rescuing him. She is so beloved by everyone. Today, she's having her magic classes with Del. No, she's teaching Del a magical formula to improve the Empire's defense system. After their lessons, Del reports to her that the archmages are quiet these days after she arrogantly shooed them away during her tea party. To tell you more about what happened that day, Enisha referred to herself as a prodigy while smirking, leaving the wizard stunned while the twins couldn't stop laughing. She knows how much pride archmages have in their magical abilities, so hearing an arrogant remark from her was bound to hurt their egos. And the twins laughing at them made it worse, so they left annoyed that day. She has nothing much on her mind these days other than her art homework. Rochelle is engrossed in his paperwork when Enisha walks in to ask for his help with her drawing, and her cutie brother gladly jumps at the chance to be of service to his little sister. Her goal is to get her homework done fast before Helard comes, and thankfully, she does so just in time. Helard storms into the room, upset with Rochiel for spending too much time with Enisha, and offers to teach her sword fighting. But she isn't interested, as once her powers return, she will be the one protecting them. Enisha is now eating with the Emperor when she accidentally sends the meat flying over to her father. Well, her #1 slave to her cuteness isn't angry at all, and even feeds her, and Enisha's joy radiates as she dances with her adorable feet. That night, as the Emperor puts her to bed, she is startled awake by a rattling sound and discovers that she is in a wagon, bound by a magical shackle around her neck. Who dared kidnap our baby? There was that day when the Emperor read of the recent disappearances of children who had been sold as slaves. He then had a serious chat with Enisha and told her that if she was ever kidnapped, she didn't need to fight and should tell her captor that the Emperor is willing to give them anything, even the Empire, as long as she is alive. She didn't take it seriously at the time, but now she can't believe she'll be kidnapped. Nobody dared to touch her after the Quantia battle, so now she's trying to figure out who would have the guts to abduct her, knowing full well that doing so would lead to their own tragic end. However, she admits that whoever the kidnapper is must be very powerful since he managed to breach the palace's defenses. She then finds a magic run that blocks all sound, and it seems so familiar that she immediately realizes who the abductor is. But her thoughts are interrupted as Cahill appears in spirit form. He rushes over to see how she is doing, and upon discovering the magical regulator slung over her neck, he becomes enraged, causing his powers to spiral out of control and nearly freezing the place. Enisha has no choice but to slap him to get his attention, and she urges him to keep focused. Cahill's power stopped, but he now appears droopy after being scolded, which Enisha notices. However, she doesn't have time to console him, so she hastily wraps a piece of her clothing around his wrist and orders him to check outside to see where they're headed, and then report it to her family. Cahill is taken aback and does not want to leave her alone, but Enisha knows that even if he stays with her, he would not be able to defeat her kidnappers. After a brief moment of reflection, he realizes he has no choice but to comply with her requests and assures her he will return. When she gets to the kidnapper's lair, she finds that her suspicions were correct. Noxita and Beluan are the ones responsible for the abduction. Even before Enisha reaches the lair, Noxita is concerned that the evil group they are collaborating with will do anything to harm Enisha. He begins overthinking that he receives a slap from Beluan, who is confident in his careful plan of kidnapping. Okay, it appears that Noxita is the goofy one while Beluan is the serious one. Archers opened their gates for Hyperion so that they could enter the Hyperion Palace, and now he is using the resistance organization that despises the Empire as scapegoats if something goes wrong with his plan. Beluan notices Noxita's admiration for the princess, which is unusual because Noxita has no interest in anyone. He too finds it odd that he feels something for the princess, which gives him hope that his assumption that the young princess is the High Mage is true. This just shows how strong their bond is with her. Back in the present, they are amazed that Enisha isn't crying, and even has the strength to demand that they remove the magical restraining necklace that is wrapped around her, which they do. Now that Enisha can breathe properly, she smiles at them and greets them like old friends. Meanwhile, the mood in the palace has become eerie, seeing our boys' long faces. I got so used to seeing them bubbly. Rochiel has already declared a state of emergency in their empire, and the top mage has reported to the Emperor that the Empire's defenses have been destroyed from within, leading him to suspect that the kidnappers are high-level mages. Helard also enters the Emperor's office, reporting that he has already imprisoned all personnel from Enisha's palace and will begin interrogation. He is convinced that it is the work of allied forces opposed to their empire, and he wishes to investigate it himself. But the Emperor refuses. Given that they have destroyed the opposition, the organization has lost its power and has nothing to lose. Therefore, provoking them will only hurt Enisha. Thankfully, Rodgo is still thinking straight. Well, he is the Emperor after all. Given that only an exceptional person can breach their defenses, they know the allied forces are collaborating with someone. So the Emperor orders the twins and Del to investigate while he leads his army in search of the allied forces. The Emperor is now on his way when Cahill stops his horse and hands Enisha's cloth, stating that he knows where the princess is. Noxita is now sobbing as he cuddles Enisha, while Beluan is being all tsundere over in the corner. The fact that they recognize her regardless of her appearance makes her feel loved, but it also implies that they will likely hold on to her now. After hearing Enisha's story, they begin to question who had Archis planned to hurt her. The person sealed her magic. Her original body disappeared and her soul moved to Hyperion, but what frustrates her the most is that her powers are returning at a snail's pace. Beluan then advises that they return to Archis right now so that he can start investigating her sealed powers, and that despite her appearance, he is confident that everyone will accept her. However, Enisha is unable to leave at this time and believes it is best for them to clarify her death and find a replacement, which surprised Noxita but enraged Beluan. He starts to think that their High Mage has become too attached to her new family and is now abandoning them, which is unbelievable, and he is determined to bring her to Archis even by force. They are cut short when the door begins to bang, prompting Beluan to speak with the allied forces outside. These nobles are trying to rush him to give them Enisha, causing Beluan to unleash a sinister aura that makes them all cower in fear, compelling them to wait. The reason behind this is that they have a deal wherein the allied force can do anything they want to the princess once Beluan is done speaking to her. Returning to the chamber, Beluan reassures Enisha that the allied soldiers are merely a convenient scapegoat for his abduction of her. Then he goes on to say that his decision to take her to Archis is final, even if it means making Hyperion their enemy. Enisha gets up and uses her authority as a High Mage to stop Beluan from making decisions on his own. Thankfully, Noxita follows her orders, but he does point out that Archis will be ready for her return still, which means Beluan has little choice but to let her go as well. However, Beluan tells her that the next time that they meet, she must choose between Archis and Hyperion. Enisha's next concern is that these mages did not prepare an escape plan without her, so she discusses her idea because she is certain that once the Emperor arrives, only she will leave the place alive. Meanwhile, the head of the allied army is just sitting tight until Beluan hands over the princess. The leader is actually the ruler of a fallen nation that Emperor Rodgo destroyed, and it is when he is on the verge of death that Beluan appears and offers the kidnapping. At last, as agreed upon, Noxita and Beluan hand over the princess to them. They have removed the magical restraint around Enisha's neck because it is an Archis device that they can't give. But they use magic to put the princess to sleep in compensation. They act so cooperative! Beluan suggests to the leader just before they depart that the best way to carry out his revenge would be to assassinate the princess in front of the Emperor. The idea thrills the leader, but he also believes it's impossible. He is well aware of the Emperor's power, and he will surely be chopped off before he can even touch the princess. Bad guys, you need not fear. As a parting present, Beluan lends the allied force enough of his powers to withstand the Emperor. They really have no idea they are being played. Following the mage's departure, the leader receives words that the Hyperion is on its way, and he can't wait to put his newfound abilities to use. All I can say is, may they rest in pieces. As the commander, Cahill cradles the sleeping Enisha in his arms. These dim-witted allies march out to face the Hyperion family and their army. The commander then points his sword at Enisha's throat, threatening Rodgo with ordering his army to disarm, which Rodgo complies with. After witnessing Rodgo's willingness to cooperate, Cahill lets out a menacing laugh, convinced that he now has the upper hand. With confidence, he boldly asks that Rodgo return all of his possessions, including his fallen nation, and commands the Emperor to kneel before him. Cahill believes the Emperor is going to bow down to him as Rodgo gets down from his horse. But then Rodgo vanishes and reappears before him in an instant. With a swift execution, Rodgo slices his arm, cradling his beloved daughter, and takes Enisha back into his embrace. Now, that's how you disarmed. While sarcastically criticizing the leader for touching Enisha, the Emperor wraps his crimson robe around his daughter, protecting her from witnessing him single-handedly slaughter the whole allied force. Seeing their father vent his frustrations alone was too much for the twins, so they decided to join the fun while telling their own army to just sit back and relax. Their armored outfits are just stunning. While the three are engaged in combat, they fail to notice Cahill using the evil spirit he obtained from Beluan to launch a surprise attack on the princess, only to be surprised when Enisha simply stares at him and grins as the spirit attacks him instead. As if nothing has happened, she resumes her nap. A true Hyperion indeed. Witnessing her father's might for the first time, Enisha is in disbelief that it is a human being's movement. When Rodgo slices through a magic circle, her amazement grows, and she acknowledges that the Emperor is stronger than any seasoned mage from Archis. Enisha is uncomfortable under the robe after a while, so she wriggles her hands out, which catches Rodgo's attention, and the two of them embrace. Her brothers also rush over to see her, and Roshiel hurriedly wipes his baby sister's face as it's splattered with blood. But they are glad that she isn't frightened of the massacre around her. And now the joyous reunion with her brother start, complete with pats and pinches. Nothing like some quality bonding time after slaughtering an army. Following that, a royal knight approaches them for advice on how to best handle the remaining allied forces. Helard casually lifts Cahill and orders the knight to take out everyone else because they have the leader in their hands. Like, literally. Helard gets a slap from his father as Rochiel covers Enisha's eyes, and the two of them scold him for showing their baby something so nasty. After the Emperor gives the knight orders to dispose of everyone except Cahill, he gives Enisha to Rochiel, the much sanitized brother, to take back to the carriage. Upon completing his duties, the Emperor hops into the carriage as well. He checks on his sleeping daughter, and they prepare to return to the palace. Upon their return to the palace, the Emperor and his two sons summon Cahill, the kid responsible for discovering Anisha's whereabouts. Rodgo has never liked the kid after giving Enisha a gift that she ends up enjoying, so he exchanges glances with Helard, and the two mutually decide to eliminate Cahill. Fortunately, Rochiel, the family's brain, breaks the silence and proposes that they offer Cahill a reward, which Rodgo despises but must agree to. However, when Cahill insists that he wants nothing and only wants to help, Rochiel joins the "We Hate Cahill for Showing Affection to Enisha" fan club. After the Emperor cools off, and because Cahill doesn't want a reward, he gives him his own place in the palace, as well as a promise to one day save his life, which Cahill accepts. After Cahill leaves, the three evaluate the kidnapping and decide to destroy not just the allied forces, but also the rest of the accomplices. Having said that, the small nation of Pelkin is supposedly the one behind it all. And since Rodgo and Helard aren't interested in leaving for another conquest, they force our poor Rochiel to do it. They really said it's your turn to be forgotten. Speaking of Enisha, Dell informs her that the investigation has led them to the nation of Pelkin, and they have clear evidence that they disguise themselves as Arch's personnel to kidnap her. However, Dell is suspicious that something else happened because he witnessed Kalon being assaulted by a black shadow, making it weird that they found him dead by self-harm. A simple smile from Enisha makes Dell wince, and he takes it as a signal that he shouldn't dig anymore. After their talk, Rochiel enters her room and hurriedly gives her a tight hug, asking her not to forget him with a teary look. Fearing that Enisha might forget about him, Rochiel, the tactician, completed the conquest in just a month. He is speed! 2 years after the kidnapping, the Hyperion are facing another dilemma with the news that the Skansha are on the loose, conquering the tribes in the west. The hawkman, aka the King of Skansha, has successfully conquered 3 major tribes and is expanding their domain, so Hyperion officials agree to establish a contingency plan and dispatch more troops. The Emperor approves, and even though the conference hasn't ended, he and his twins decide to head out as they agree to play ball with Enisha. When it comes to the princess, the officials have no choice but to comply, and they begin hyping her up, making these 3 extremely proud. At 5 years old, Enisha has already mastered the art of the proper greeting, which has her father and her brothers quaking in their boots. Cuties. They then watch her play ball, but she trips over a stone, making the 3 boys panic. The twins swiftly ensure she's alright by calling a doctor, while the Emperor gets enraged and summons the gardener. When the Emperor confronts the gardener, he emits a menacing aura. However, this fades as Enisha approaches him, making the adorable claim that her father will make her feel much better if he blows her hand. The Emperor calms down and does it, while Enisha tells the gardener to quickly leave. A day in the life of Enisha, saving lives. Enisha is excited as she makes her way through her secret passage to the Golden Forest, where she plans to go on an adventure by herself. This is only possible because the palace's magical defenses were strengthened to the point where even the left and right mages were unable to easily breach them. And because the Emperor and the twins felt sorry for her being imprisoned in the palace, this means she gets to spend time exploring on her own. Wolfer hasn't shown up to her since the kidnapping incident, but she's found strange hints that he drops by the Golden Forest often, leaving behind snow and ice fragments that she diligently covers with dirt. She then takes a break beneath the golden tree when Cahill shows up, perched on a branch. He trips and falls on her, but he manages to float while embracing her. Cahill quickly checks on her to see if she's hurt, but she shyly informs him that it's her butt that hurts, making him feel so embarrassed that she can't help but giggle. He asks her whether she finds him unusual, but instead of responding immediately, she stands in front of him and removes the leaf from his hair, and he expresses his gratitude wholeheartedly. Helard once summoned Cahill, and by glancing at the boy, the prince knows that he isn't as innocent as he appears and has already killed someone. Well, Helard is not wrong, for Cahill has been working as a mercenary for a red-haired woman, and sometimes he is forced to kill. Enisha and Cahill are enjoying the breeze under the golden tree when Cahill reveals that he has become an apprentice for a Haldan, Helard Knight's order. From what Enisha knows, Rodogo's order is called Kuterin. Roshiel's is Ielta, and Helard's order is notoriously harsh, so she is concerned that Cahill is struggling. Just then, she remembers that Helard and his knights have training in the morning, but Cahill wants to spend more time with her, so he insists he'll be fine if he's a little late, which is obviously not the case. So our little girl chooses to accompany him to the training grounds in an effort to save him from Helard's punishment. Then she orders Cahill to carry her, which he blushingly accepts. Is it okay to ship these two already? Then Enisha finds out that Cahill aspires to be a knight so he can proudly stand before her, which she finds admirable, and she can't help but see Noxita and Beluan in him. And because no one knows he has powers, she advises him not to use them excessively, to which he is compelled to agree. They have arrived, and one knight is irritated because Cahill is late, but he is startled when the adorable Enisha appears from behind him. Helard raises Enisha, and he is overjoyed to find that his little sister wants to see him sword fight. But his mood quickly changes when he sees Cahill, and he lashes out at him, asking why his sister is with him. Seeing her brother about to tear Cahill apart prompts her to act fast and call for his attention, informing him that she has asked Cahill to bring her there. Staring at him with her compelling eyes convinces Helard to let Cahill go this time. Phew. She sits comfortably and watches Helard train, noting that the knights are highly competent and that the Hyperion bloodline is magnificent. Helard then hands her a sword and asks her to try it. She hesitates but agrees to his request. As Enisha clumsily shows off her sword skills, Helard catches her in a flash but can't help but giggle. She pouts and swears never to do it again, causing Helard to panic and apologize to his beloved little sister. Just then the mages arrive at the training grounds and they all pay their respects to the first prince, and because it's their first time seeing the princess, they begin swooning over her. Nope, not on Big Brother's watch, so Helard commands him to stop and asks Enisha if she'd like to see some magic. One of the mages informs them that the battle and support mages would love to demonstrate their magic and believes it'll be a great opportunity for the princess to learn. Nah, you're actually speaking to the strongest mage, but since she wants to see how powerful they are, she agrees to watch the battle mages use magic. Mages are divided into 4 categories: support, healing, defense, and offense. Battle mages specialize in both offense and defense, allowing them to stand alone on the battlefield due to their high proficiency in 2 types of magic, making the title of battle mage tough to attain. However, Enisha is dissatisfied with them since she believes they're not very good and rely too heavily on their talents. These are the types of mages she despises the most. During their final demonstration, one of the mages announces that they will reveal a new attack they have devised, a tremendously damaging spell that splits and can strike multiple foes at the same time. The mage begins to chant his spell and unleashes his magic when one goes off in another direction, directly to Cahill, which causes Enisha to panic, because if Cahill blocks the magic, his powers would be revealed, so she chooses to prevent it herself. Enisha can only use simple magic, so she moves quickly but precisely. Speed, visual improvement, and finally magic reflection to redirect the attack to a tree. The impact is strong, but thankfully, Cahill quickly catches her. Helard is furious and ready to kill the mage, but as Enisha tugs on his shirt and gives him a hug, his heart softens. He then squeezes her chubby cheeks to see if she's okay, since if she's hurt, he'll punish all the mages in the palace. Then he carries her so they can visit the doctor. After visiting the doctor, they enter the room where they find the Emperor and Rochiel with such a sinister vibe. Enisha runs to her father as Helard inquires as to what is going on. And before the Emperor responds, he covers Enisha's ears and states that the King of Skansha proposed to her. While Enisha and Del are quietly reading books, Del informs her about the uproar among the palace mages, who still cannot believe that a 5-year-old can wield such defensive magic. But not her family, who are just proud of how talented she is. Del then shares that the battle mage suffers from not only a broken arm and leg, but also many limb injuries. The two believe Helard did it, but after hearing that the mage was attacked in his room and was raving about snow everywhere, Enisha becomes convinced that Cahill is the real culprit. Meanwhile, Hyperion officials are in agreement with the Emperor and the twins that they should refuse the hawkman's proposal. In the midst of Helard's outrage over the 20-year-old king's proposal to their 5-year-old princess, a nobleman expresses the opinion that Skansha would be a good trade partner, but he instantly retracts it when Rochiel shoots him a deadly look. Helard wants to finish the king, but has concerns that people will accuse him of launching a war for no cause, which is exactly what the Emperor is thinking, as seen by their disdainful faces. Like father, like son. Meanwhile, Mr. Tactician over here is planning on choosing a nation to support a king and compete with the hawkman, and he has decided on Cahill Jadkar as the perfect choice. The three resolve to make Cahill king and use him to keep Scansha under control. Win-win situation. Speaking of Cahill, he's being beaten up by some Ahalden knights for hiding behind the princess when Helard arrives and orders them to leave. After noticing that Cahill is unfazed by the beating, he decides to teach him swordsmanship himself. Helard is a kingmaker. Enisha has little idea who Hawkman is since her family refuses to disclose it to her. So she decides to investigate and accepts Lady Barnett's invitation to go out. Of course, knowing that the lady has been unpleasant to Enisha in the past, both of her brothers try to encourage her not to go. But she insists, so they resolve to accompany her. So she's down to her last resort. Enisha tells her brothers that she'll hate them if they come along. Helard and Rochiel are devastated even at the thought of it. Apparently, Helard has done some serious damage to the young Lady Barnett. She keeps having nightmares in which he screams at her like a dinosaur. Poor girl was traumatized. Barnett Iliosa, the Marquess's only daughter, was formerly praised for her beauty and intelligence, but that changed when everyone's attention switched to the princess. So during Anisha's first tea party, it was her intention to be cruel to her, but it clearly failed. Yet she continues to invite her and look for her at various events, but they never meet. Today, after the princess accepted her invitation, she is ready to finally humiliate her. But when Enisha appears via a magical portal, the only words that come out are that she's beautiful. Lady Barnett formally greets the princess while our adorable girl hands her the basket she's holding, which Barnett misunderstands as an order. But when she realizes it's a cake, Anisha's gift to her, she blushes and takes it, prompting Enisha to smile warmly. Barnett is really in awe of Anisha's adorableness. Our girl has captured another heart, cutie. As the tea party begins, Enisha comfortably nibbles her food and notices Barnett's shyness, but assumes she just wants to go to the restroom. She shrugs it off and continues to eat until Barnett shyly recommends to her that the apple marmalade biscuit is more delicious. So Enisha tastes it and is greatly delighted, making Barnett's heart skip a beat. Barnett is overjoyed watching Enisha eat what she prepared and is now warming up to her, expressing proudly that she will have the maid prepare more cookies for her to bring home. After some time, Enisha decides to bid farewell and promises to invite her to the palace, which Barnett eagerly awaits. Yay! Her first friend! I mean, the tea party is really simply an alibi for Enisha and Del to stroll around and investigate Hawkman. Even though the princess is wearing a disguise and has gorgeous black hair, Del is still anxious about her safety. Holding his hand as she affectionately calls him Grandpa, he fears Enisha will not back out now, so he reluctantly submits to her demands. They start by purchasing a pack of premium cigars, and upon entering a pub, they present the cigars to the bulk guy, who then directs them to a room where they can wait for a woman they're looking for. A while later, the same redhead who works with Cahill enters, and after being thrilled by their cigar gift, she introduces herself as Rashina. Del introduces himself as well, and shyly claims Enisha is his granddaughter. Rashina is an informant, so as Anisha's spokesperson today, Del inquires about the Hawkman of Scansha, and they discover that the prince was once a kind-hearted man. But 5 years ago, rumors circulated that he had gone insane, and his people welcomed the change, so he became the Hawkman and ended up being the predator of the West. Del wants to know more and will pay whatever she demands, but this girl does not want money and wants the two of them to assist her in a mission of saving a child from a slave trader. Del sighs and agrees to the deal when Enisha repeatedly pokes him, while Rashina presents to them her talented partner Cahill in his white-haired disguise. Cahill immediately recognizes Enisha, and Enisha is as stunned as he is to meet him in such a place. Rashina starts pressing him for an answer on whether he knows the little girl, but he flatly denies it and instead gives the excuse that she's cute, much to the shock of Enisha and Del. He saw the chance and grabbed it. Smooth. Rashina then begins explaining to him their mission, and Enisha will play a critical role in ensuring its success. Hearing it causes Del and Cahill's rage to flare up. But Enisha intervenes, and they stand there suppressing themselves. Rashina continues to discuss her plans to hand over Enisha to the slave trader, and once they find the child they're looking for, they'll get Enisha out right away. While listening, Enisha realized Rashina is just as deceitful as she was during her high mage days, but she has no choice but to follow her schemes to gain her trust today. After receiving a headshake from Del, a sign that they should back out, Enisha continues to poke him until he finally gives in and accepts. Before they continue, Cahill requests to speak with Enisha alone, so they go to an empty room. Cahill kneels before the princess, and Enisha demands to know what he's doing in there, but he just vaguely answers that he's looking for a place for himself before returning the question to her. Enisha simply states that she and Del are examining Hawkman, who has proposed to her. She then cries, expressing her fear that she may be sent off to marry a guy she does not know, and then unexpectedly hugs the blushing Cahill. Meanwhile, Rochiel is having a foul mood after having a distorted memory of Enisha hating him. So when he hears about an auction involving illegally trafficked children, he decides to take care of it himself to probably just relieve his feelings. Uh-oh. They're now in the carriage, and Rashina makes up a fictional background for Enisha and decides to use the name Enisha as her fake identity, unaware that she's actually correct. When they arrive, they proceed to the auction house, where Grecian, the owner, is immediately smitten by Enisha's beauty and readily accepts her as payment for the kid Rashina wants. She is then handcuffed and placed in a tiny room where she simply comfortably sits. Using his ability, Cahill materializes before her, and he visibly dislikes seeing Enisha restrained, which serves as a reminder to Enisha that Cahill can be rather irritable and is unaware that he injured the battle mage. He initially denies it, but then realizes he can't lie to Enisha, so he admits it, while our girl orders him not to do it again, especially today. He just simply says he'll try and then changes the topic to Enisha's safety, expressing concern that she's in handcuffs. To reassure him that she's fine, she uses a small release of her powers and claims the shackles are easy to remove. Yet again, Cahill draws nearer to her, this time expressing his concern in a more serious tone, but as they hear footsteps, he decides to leave immediately. Grishon then leads Enisha into an underground dungeon where she joins the other kidnapped children. As she continues to wait in the corner, and considering how much time has gone without her being rescued, she becomes increasingly convinced that Rashina has betrayed her. Rashina is overjoyed in an alley because her task has been successful, and Grishon has even given her some money. Cahill then claims he has to go back and save Enisha, saying that since Del is a mage, and they appear to be from a noble family, they may return for revenge. But Rashina is unconcerned because they can simply flee with the money they have. She also adds that those two are actually suspicious, so she asks Cahill to simply wrap up and leave, proving to him that Enisha is correct, as she revealed in the carriage earlier that Rashina will most likely betray her. Enisha plans to escape after the bidding and has asked Del to wait outside the auction house to rescue her, while she orders Cahill to determine whether Rashina will betray her for money or because she is suspicious of her, and if the latter, she orders Cahill to restrain her. So Cahill unleashes his ice powers and confronts Rashina, who has little chance of defeating him. He binds her up while our guy here is really trying to control his anger, so he holds the brooch Enisha once gave him and hopes what he did today helped her. Meanwhile, the auction has begun on the inside, and Rochiel is horrified to see children being sold, so he intends to take action after the auction until Enisha appears. He has strong suspicions about the child's identity and intends to buy her right away. Say goodbye to your auction house and say hello to the slaughterhouse. The nobles begin bidding, and Enisha's presence causes a stir because everyone believes she looks exactly like the princess. If only she didn't come with black hair and blue eyes. Someone bids 4,000, which makes Grishon so delighted he could cry, until someone doubles the price, a voice that Enisha recognizes, so she looks at the crowd and finds her brother. However, someone from behind competes with Rochiel, and he ends up bidding 100,000. Grishon refuses to stop and believes the other man will bid more, which makes Rochiel lose patience, so he throws a ball at Grishon's assistant and instructs his knights to grab Enisha. Enisha can't allow her brother to capture her now, so she dashes away with her powers. But Rochiel's knights are so skilled and close behind her that she is nearly out of magic. Just as she's about to use her last skills wisely to reach Del outside the auction house, someone unexpectedly snatches her and drags her into a dark chamber. Please, be Cahill! No matter where they looked, not even the prince could locate Enisha despite their best efforts. She can hear every word, but the man behind her assures her that they won't be able to find them. Turning around, she sees the man who is bidding against Rochiel at the auction. He smiles at her, but she pushes him, demanding him to set her free. The masked guy pauses for a moment before removing his mask, revealing his true identity in the hopes that she will remember him. Unfortunately, she does not recognize him, informing him that he is the wrong girl and goes straight to the door, attempting to open it, but he slams it, stopping her from opening. The man confesses how much he misses her and how much he ached for her even in the lonely darkness. He dreams of her, her face, her voice, and he thinks about it all a lot, and it's too painful to think that she'll pretend not to know him at all. He kneels in front of her, pleading her to recall him, and refers to her as a high mage. This time, Enisha discovers that he possesses the ability to easily reverse the spell Del cast on her, detects his ruby eyes, and recognizes the guy in front of her as Avartia. Unlike good elemental spirits, evil spirits use their strength to decide their rankings, and after numerous battles under one another, pride, envy, wrath, sloth, greed, gluttony, and lust are recognized as the 7 underworld sovereigns. Mages are capable of summoning them, but it comes to the expense of losing either your body or your soul. Therefore, no one dared to do it until 10 overconfident mages who are so curious use their powers to summon one of the sovereigns. Their original goal was to summon one sovereign and promptly return it, but their plan backfired and had them all killed as they accidentally called the last sovereign, Avartia of Avartia, who devoured the other 6 sovereigns. Curiosity really killed the cat. Enisha first saw him eating a person when she was still the High Mage, and she believes he should not be in the human world. So they fought for 3 days straight, and even though she won, she couldn't kill him or send him back to the underworld, because she had already used her power in their fight. Instead, she used every last piece of her power to successfully bind him. But seeing him now, Enisha fears Avartia has broken free because her powers are locked away. As a result, she asks Avartia directly whether he intends to exact his vengeance. However, he denies this and says he is waiting for her to mature before devouring her. I can't take him seriously when he looks so adorable. Then he lovingly holds her, pets her head, and plays with her hair until the enraged Cahill shows up and unleashes his powers. Enisha instantly orders him to pull back because she is certain Cahill will die if he confronts Avartia head-on, which our guy thankfully obeys. Then she informs Avartia that he can't eat Cahill because he is already under a spirit contract, while he reminds Enisha that he has Endivia of envy inside him before kissing her head and claiming that he's extremely jealous. Enisha is now very enraged and uses her remaining magic to give him a power slap. Exactly what he deserves! This catches Avartia off guard, so Enisha runs to Cahill, who promptly uses his ice powers to halt the evil spirit from advancing. Avartia smiles, wipes the blood from his cheek, and decides to leave for now, with the room filled with roses. She feels that because her soul is the same, Avartia will continue to obsess over her, even if she's in a child's body. Worse, she worries that Avartia sees Cahill as a competition, despite the fact that he's only 12 years old. Okay, so that means Cahill is only 5 years older than her. Dell and Rashina, who is stunned to realize Enisha is the princess, arrive, and Dell runs to her, sensing that the disguise spell he set on her has been broken. They then plan to return to the palace, and because Roshiel's order will undoubtedly begin examining the place, Enisha encourages Rashina to revert to her normal form so she does not get caught. Rashina is shocked that the princess already knows who she is and feels defeated, but she decides to follow Enisha and turns into an elderly mage before leaving. I did not expect that. After a while, Roshiel returns to the palace, his clothes soaked in blood, as he was unable to track down Enisha at the auction house. However, his rage melts when Enisha warmly welcomes him back home. He hurriedly drops his sword, wipes himself, and then hugs her tightly. He then tries to get answers about her outing today, but after receiving the most sweet smile and a promise to go out with him and Helard next time, Big Brother succumbs and finds himself unable to question her any longer. He has men he can interrogate, so he decides not to nag his baby sister. They really love her so much, and I'm here for it. Inside the dungeon, Roshiel tells Helard that he saw Enisha at the auction house and that she is one of the items in it, which makes Helard laugh, claiming that he must have mistook her for someone else. Helard then turns to face the person they caught at the auction, asking him politely where the ledgers are. But when the man replies that he doesn't know, he breaks the wall beside him, and Psycho Helard appears. When the prince presses the man again for an answer, the man cries out in terror and declares he has no idea where it is, which kills him. It looks like they could not get any traces of Enisha, so Roshiel is starting to believe that he might be bewitched by some evil spirit. Just then, the Halden vice captain arrives to inform Helard that Cahill had unexpectedly used violence against all the Order's members, causing serious injuries. However, the vice captain is shocked when Helard simply states that they should all have been nice to Cahill in the first place. He simply smiles and orders the vice captain to treat the injured. Well, to explain what happened, the Halden bullies broke the brooch Enisha gave Cahill, which is why he reacted that way. Poor Cahill treasured that gift so much. As the twins are making their way down the hallway, Roshiel remembers that today is Enisha's dance practice, so they are both excited to watch. Helard smiles at Enisha as they prepare to begin dancing practice. After a quick bow, they start swinging and swaying to the music, but Enisha has a habit of stepping on his foot, which makes Helard chuckle, and jokes that she has 2 left feet. Enisha is perplexed as to what went wrong because she had the procedures and order completely memorized. Well, you can't really master everything. Then unexpectedly, Helard raises her up, removes her shoes, and sets her feet on his own to begin dancing, and she follows his lead and begins to have fun. Aw, they are the cutest! Just then, the Emperor asks for the twins while they're still having fun conversing. Enisha is in her room reading books, but she can't concentrate since her mind is racing with thoughts of Cahill and wondering where he went. He isn't in the Golden Forest, and she can't look for him during training because Helard is there. She wants to know why he suddenly beat up the members of his order after she reminded him not to. Despite having read every book on elemental spirits, she still does not fully understand their power. She is determined to help Cahill in his quest for vengeance and to look after Avartia when she notices something on the floor. She recognizes it as a familiar, but does not know whose weirdo sends it to her. She tries to hold it, but the black blob moves to form a heart shape and makes a sound telling her, "I love you, princess," which surprises her and causes her to throw the blob away from her, which eventually stops, leaving her so confused. Whoever sent the love blob is undoubtedly skilled, but before she can figure out who's responsible, a maid knocks on her door to inform her that her father has asked for her. As she makes her way to the meeting room, a servant tells her that there are 2 princes and high-ranking nobles present, hinting that the hawkman must have visited Hyperion. That implies that one of the king's sorcerers was also responsible for sending the love blob. When Enisha walks into the room and takes her usual seat on her father's lap, things get serious. Without giving her any specifics, Rodgo tells her that they have a guest who wants to see her. He then makes it clear that the visit is unannounced, so she can ignore it if she so wants. Helard adds and presses her to reject the visitor, while Rochiel smiles mischievously and says that whoever the visitor is rude. Enisha frowns, knowing that she would never get an answer from her family, so she turns to the Marquise Iliosa and asks who her visitor is. Despite the 3 boys' intense stares, the Marquise manages to break the silence and confirm that it is the hawkman. The Marquise continues to claim that the hawkman apologized and even offered a gift, until he gets a death stare from the Emperor, making everyone in the room tremble. This guy wishes to die! Our girl is smart, and she understands that the officials are attempting to think highly of Hawkman because Skancha is a good political partner. But these guys must have forgotten she's only 5 years old. If her family wasn't powerful, she figures that these leaders would have sold her out, so it's time for her to teach them a lesson. Enisha begins to cry and pretends that she will consent to marry, because it appears that is what the noble wants. No saving from Enisha now! The helpless twins are watching Enisha while she sobs. Eventually, the Marquis speaks up again and reassures the princess that they will only meet briefly in person. This makes Helard angry and causes the chatty noble to shudder before apologizing for his actions. However, Helard is prepared to kill him when Enisha notices that her family is about to blow up because of anger, so she decides to act swiftly. With sad eyes, she approaches Rochiel first, in the hopes that words can calm him down. But she soon learns that the quiet types are even more frightening. Everyone pauses as the Emperor asks Enisha whether she despises the Hawkman and offers to kill him for her. This time, Enisha considers her options, since if she says yes, the 3 of them will undoubtedly do it. So she assures them that she is fine as long as she does not marry the Hawkman, and she stops Helard from killing the Marquise by asking him to hug her, saving everyone's life. They are all prepared for the Hawkman's arrival, but Enisha is perplexed as to why the king is so drawn to a 5-year-old girl he's never seen before. The Emperor warns her not to smile or even look at him in the eyes, as he may induce a wild illusion. The coming of the Hawkman of Skancha is announced, and when he arrives and greets her, Enisha is taken aback to see Avartia in front of her, so she turns away from him, which pleases the Hyperion family. They are happy she's disgusted. Meanwhile, in Archis, Bellawan has been preparing for war and is considering snatching the Empire's 3rd star, but he knows that Archis cannot defeat the Empire based on overall strength. However, if he can just send the High Mage to their island in the sky, the Hyperion Empire will be unable to find her. He hopes she will come obediently, but if she refuses, he intends to deploy a magical restraining device on her and take her by force. Then surprisingly, Noxita informs him about the Hawkman of Skancha via his 3-legged crow, leading Bellawan to quickly investigate. Enisha is exhausted as she collapses on her bed, furious that the Hawkman who proposed to her is Avartia, and she hates that he even presents her a rare magic stone that can temporarily increase one's magical abilities. However, she decides to calm down as she doesn't want to get high blood pressure at the age of 5. Enisha sits when she notices the heart blob in her window again and decides to go for a walk. When she arrives at the golden tree, she commands to show her invisible guest, and voila! A lad comes who announces himself as Urga of Skancha, and she discovers that the hawkman has ordered him to watch after her. Urga is overjoyed to learn that Enisha is aware that he is responsible for the blob, so he starts gushing about how thrilled he is to see her in person, and how he could die with no regrets right now, making Enisha feel sick. Urga enthusiastically tells her that she deserves to be queen and rule over all of Skancha, but he is interrupted by Cahill, who uses ice to hit him and caution him he can't approach Enisha. Enisha scolds Cahill for hitting the hawkman sorcerer, but Cahill's face simply screams, "I don't care!" Meanwhile, Urga gives off an intimidating vibe, and he seems as strange as his king, as he is excited for Enisha to hit him next. Cahill makes the decision to take Enisha with him and leave, but Urga gets serious and unleashes his magical scythe. Declaring that he wants to show the princess's dog Cahill a lesson, Urga starts attacking, bringing Cahill to his knees. Urga continues to belittle Cahill, which irritates him and causes him to use his powers, something Enisha feels is a bad idea. So she intervenes and warns Cahill that he cannot make another mess after assaulting the Ahaldan Knights. Enisha decides to deal with Urga on her own, and with her magical abilities, Enisha shrinks Urga's scythe into a miniature form. Then, she encircles him in a spell that pulls him to the floor. On top of that, she approaches him, steps on his hand, and asks him whether the hawkman has told him to fight her. Savage baby! This gives Urga shivers, and he quickly apologizes. But once Enisha walks away, this guy flushes, realizing that the princess has just stepped on him and left a mark. He then gets up and shyly confesses that he has fallen for her. Daddy, kill this creepy guy over here! Cahill is outraged by Urga's statement, and Enisha is tired of calming the two down. So she switches tactics and smiles at Urga while asking him to leave, which he surprisingly does. Before leaving, Urga relays a message from the hawkman, informing her that he will eagerly await her visit. Then he cuts a strand of Cahill's hair with his cursed scythe, causing Cahill to collapse. Cahill has been cursed for days, and his condition is getting worse with each passing day. And based on what Enisha has observed, the curse that was set on him is related to power explosions. So if the curse is not lifted, his elemental spirit may erupt, freezing the entire capital. So she has no choice but to meet with Avartia. But she is also aware that if she asks her father about it, he may declare war on the West. However, our girl is a girl with plans, so she goes to her father's office and begins showering him with her charms. Later that night, the twins lose it and yell at their father, whom they still can't believe let Enisha meet the hawkman. Even the Emperor was taken aback by his recent actions, so he clarifies that Enisha had only asked him to guess her favorite pie earlier. After countless failed guesses, she finally kisses his cheek and revealed that Daddy Pie is her favorite pie. It was a surprise attack that he could never be prepared for, and his daughter used that weakness to request that she meet with the hawkman. Daddy Pie didn't stand a chance. Avartia gives Enisha a bouquet as a greeting the following day, which she clearly finds distasteful. They then start strolling and chatting while both of her brothers are right behind them. So Avartia casts a spell around them to allow them to speak freely. Enisha promptly addresses the reason for their meeting, which is to ask Avartia to lift Cahill's curse, but soon discovers that he did not lay a powerful curse on the boy, and it has already been lifted. Avartia goes on to say that Cahill's willpower is insufficient to break the curse, and he is quite pleased about what will happen next. Given that this demon isn't going to help her break the curse, she tells him straight up to go away, which makes him chuckle uncontrollably. Weirdo. That night, snow began to fall so heavily over Hyperion that it might be written in the Empire's history, and to make matters worse, Cahill disappeared. From the time he was a little boy, Cahill's stepmother would lock him in a room where he would sit and cry, pleading with her to release him. He eventually learned to accept his confinement in the dark room as usual, at least until the wolf spirit arrived to save him. Still to this day, his heart remains chained in that same old room, with the cold serving as his only source of comfort. This boy needs a warm hug! It has been 3 days and Cahill has not shown up, so Enisha makes the decision to search for him using her magic butterfly tracker, as she wants to give Cahill the chance to choose. Choose what? Let's find out. Enisha ultimately discovers where Cahill is hiding and becomes frightened that the curse marks have spread to his face. Cahill, on the other hand, tries to run towards her despite the fact that he is hurt and coughing blood. With a firm grip on his face, Enisha tells him that the curse is bringing out his emotions and that he will surely be consumed by his own powers if he continues. The only way out, she states, is for Cahill to make her his master. Cahill didn't hear Enisha because his mind was replaying his awful past, where he was locked up merely for staring in the wrong direction, not looking excited enough during meals, or simply catching someone's eye. Everything he did was wrong, and that killed the life in his eyes. So that night, as he was coughing blood in his room, he stepped outside because he couldn't breathe. However, the spirits in his thoughts kept telling him that no matter how hurt he is, no one will care about his misery, and that he's the only one who can make him feel better, until he awakens from his trance and sees Enisha looking so concerned about him. He remembers her, the princess who shines so brightly and is the only person who has ever given him a genuine smile. She might be the third star, but for Cahill, she is the sun. Her strange warmth softened his icy heart, but now the spirit inside him doesn't like it and is taking action independently. Cahill cannot control the tremendous blizzard that is attacking and distancing him from Enisha, so he grabs an ice shard to stab himself. Fortunately, Enisha swiftly uses her magic to get rid of the shard, then grabs his hand and informs him that he can make his first vow to her in order for her to control his powers. This is our girl urging him to keep on living, and Cahill decides to follow her. As Cahill recites his vows, he can't help but be drawn to Enisha's flaming orange eyes, thinking that if they could melt him to death, it would be a joyful moment for him. Damn, that is one sweet, silent confession. He feels like Enisha is the light that has crept into the dark room of his heart, and he is grateful that the princess is now his master. At last, Cahill cracks a smile, and he looks so warm and at ease. Cahill sleeps soundly because he has to heal, but there's no need to worry, according to Dell. Yet he is concerned about Cahill's position because he may be ejected from the Ahaldan Order due to his prolonged absence. Enisha then assures him that she is now planning something and grins, saying she will notify him once it's certain. That night, Enisha is jolted awake by a knock on her window. Despite her sleepiness, she goes to investigate and discovers that Avartia is outside waving to her. She is about to turn around because she isn't interested, but he happens to have some information for her, so she lets him speak from his position. He asks her about the magic amplifier he gave her and cautions her to take good care of it, because her left and right mages are currently acting very spitefully. And before he leaves, he also tells her that Archis provoked Skansha because the left and right mages learned that the hawkman courted the princess and even traveled to see her. I have guessed this already. She sighs, knowing that this will be another trouble for her, but she is relieved that they do not know the identity of the hawkman and concerned about them barging into the palace. The Hyperion family gets together the following day for a meeting that Enisha has requested, but the twins can't help but burst into laughter as they find her so cute. In her opening remarks, she expresses her gratitude for the gathering and makes it clear her desire to lead an order of knights under her command. The news that Enisha plans to form an order of magical knights under the leadership of head mage Del Haran and Cahill Jakar catches Helard from her family by surprise. When asked about the choice of Cahill Jakar, Enisha explains that he is a member of the royal Jakar family with special abilities bestowed by an elemental spirit, which have been passed down through the generations and have now manifested in himself. The recent blizzard was caused by a sudden explosion of Cahill's powers, which led him to make a solemn vow to Enisha, giving her complete control over his abilities. Rochiel tells her that while her idea is great, they need to consult the nobles first, so she must wait. Helard assures her that they will do their best to grant her wish, and everyone in the room smiles at her. Our girl understands that establishing a new order takes time, so she leaves it to them. 2 years later, Cahill looks magnificent in his new knight uniform. As he walks down the hallway, Del meets him and comments on how good he looks. They walk in silence together when Del begins talking about how he's glad Cahill can now control his powers, and is excited if he could show it to him next time. But Cahill just looks at him, giving Del a chilly vibe. Cahill reminds him that his master is the princess, not him, leaving Del speechless and wondering how the High Mage can control such an irritable boy. Oh boy, their team will be so interesting. They both pay their respect to the princess, and Enisha smiles as she looks at Cahill, who is bowing in front of her, and congratulates him on becoming vice commander of the Ivrote Order. In their meeting, Enisha informs Del and Cahill that the Ivrote Order has not yet been officially launched because their last member has not yet joined them, and their first objective is to bring Rashina in as she intends to recruit her. The trio is now outside the palace looking for Rashina. Del is unable to stop worrying about the princess because he fears the Emperor or the twins will find out. Enisha, on the other hand, is calmly enjoying her ice cream and tells him that he needs to get used to the fact that she will occasionally travel outside the palace covertly. Del also says he doesn't feel good about recruiting Rashina, but she stresses that they need her and that it's all part of her plan, urging him to go along silently. A little while later, Cahill offers to clean Anisha's sticky hands, and as he gets into it, she notices how tall and attractive he's become. She remembers how, 2 years prior, her heart fell upon learning that Cahill had been called by Rodgo and the twins, fearing they would devour him, but instead of being killed, Cahill trained under Helard for the next 2 years, taking lessons in everything from swordsmanship to culture and etiquette. It was said that the order took 2 years to be formed due to certain rules, but this period was actually a time for the imperial family to turn Cahill into a suitable candidate to join the Ivrote order. After realizing how much he's been through, Enisha pats his head and tells him how proud she is of him, which causes him to blush. As she turns around, she spots a cute stuffed bunny at a nearby toy store and thinks it would be nice to cuddle up with it. Cahill notices her reaction and asks if she likes it, but she's too embarrassed to tell him the truth, so she just says she's looking at it. They then return to the inn where they met Rashina, and Cahill decides to gather information inside while Enisha and Del wait in the shade. Del then uses the chance to express his dislike for Cahill, which Enisha is well aware of, and she states that Cahill simply lacks social skills. And even if Del hates him, he has no choice but to get along since they both pledged a vow to her. Cahill then appears and informs them that Rashina has been taken captive in a combat ring by Grishan's brother, Griole, as revenge for Grishan's arrest. They then arrive at the place, and their concept today is that she is a pampered, wealthy girl accompanied by her 2 knights. Because the guards are wary of them, Enisha orders Del to toss gold money at them, and they are instantly granted access to the underground battle ring. After that, the man takes them to Griole's office, where Enisha wastes no time asking about Rashina and offers to pay whatever amount. Her haughty expression irritates Griole and causes him to yell, but Cahill jumps to protect Enisha, which makes Griole smirk and decide that instead of paying money, Cahill should be in the ring. He boldly asserts that he is prepared to release Rashina, provided Cahill wins all of today's matches, which Enisha gladly accepts. They then visit Rashina in her cell, and she agrees to be Anisha's knight if she saves her from being locked up. However, she cannot believe that she is last in her knight's rank, so Enisha explains that Del is Hyperion's head mage, while Cahill is the son of Jadkar's king and a spirit contractor. Rashina begins to see them in such bright light that she has no way to reach them, so she admits defeat. With Rashina on the squad, Anisha's order will be a colorful one. The competition is about to begin, and as someone who recently stated that he despises Cahill, Del is shaking with worry for Cahill's safety because these illegal rings recruit mercenaries. Enisha then reminds him that Helard personally taught Cahill for 2 years, so if he can't trust Cahill, he should trust the second prince, making this sweet grandpa sigh with relief. I would not be surprised if Del gets hypertension. They then start snacking, and this devious child urges Del to put all of their money on the sword-wielding pretty boy, aka to Cahill. She is ecstatic, while Del cannot believe the princess is actually gambling. Well, it's not gambling if you know the outcome in advance. As soon as they announce sword-wielding pretty boy in the ring, the audience rushes to trash him, but they are all taken aback when Cahill easily defeats every opponent. Currently, he is competing in the championship match, and his opponent is a massive figure by the name of Macias, who is the current champion. Despite the ongoing booing, our sweet boy can only hear Anisha's support, which brings a smile to his face. Macias approaches him and starts muttering things to him, which enrages Cahill to the point that he sprints and swings his sword upon hearing the announcer's signal to start the fight, resulting in the huge guy being smashed into the wall. I bet this guy talks badly about Enisha. Even after Macias pleads for mercy, Cahill pierces his sword to the heart and refuses to stop. Yup, this guy definitely said nasty things about Enisha, which is why Cahill is going beast mode. Enisha is unconcerned, but Grandpa Del is back disliking Cahill. Griole becomes increasingly frustrated and shouts at Enisha to tell her servant to stop. But our girl maintains her composure and merely states that it is typical in a fighting ring. Griole is losing so much money that he becomes agitated and declares that they will never leave his place alive, causing Enisha to sigh and have no choice but to order Del to finish them. The audience panics and rushes out, which is precisely what Enisha wants. Griole and his men begin casting spells to attack an actual child, but not on Del's watch, who is now showing off his magic neutralizer abilities. Enisha then proceeds to finish them off by launching a torrent of incredible strikes, which manage to knock them all down with a single hit. After catching Griole in the act of running away, Cahill feels pleased when Enisha pats him on the head. She then discovers that Macias had previously made insulting remarks about her, something Cahill would never say aloud, so instead of pressing the matter further, she simply orders him to keep his cool the next time. I knew it. Enisha then bends down and grins at the enraged Griole, who begins warning her that she'll be killed in no time because he works for Count Lestian. He starts leaking the names of some big shots, and Enisha lets him ramble and listens to him cheerfully. After that, she flashes a menacing look and is about to reveal her true identity when Dell cuts her off to tell her Rashina has escaped. She merely smiles since she expected the old hag to escape, but she isn't worried because she has previously casted a tracker on her. They quickly capture Rashina, who begins apologizing continually to Princess Enisha after she declares that she will be sentenced to death. So Enisha gives her two options: sign a contract or die. And Rashina has no choice but to sign the deal, which makes our girl very happy. They collect a large sum of money from the raid, which Enisha wants to use as a secret fund for her order, before giving a bag of money to Cahill as a prize for winning the competition. Before they go, Enisha smiles at Griole and his men and informs them that the palace knights will pick them up tomorrow. When she returns to the palace that night, a maid cautions her that her brothers are waiting for her, implying that they know she left without their permission. She cautiously makes her way inside the room, where the hotties and more mature Rochiel and Helard are waiting. Rochiel looking as dapper as ever? Helard in that V-neck? Oh, the way puberty slammed them! Anyway, our girl is in a pickle right now since her two brothers seem mad, so she explains that she was searching for her last knight, a skilled mage. She goes on to say that she intended to return home early, but that someone stood in her way, which prompted her overprotective brothers to listen intently. She pretends to cry as she describes her encounter with Griole, emphasizing that the man threatened her because he has the backing of some big shots, which enrages the twins. Well played, princess. Enisha then awakens from her sleep as a snowflake falls on her cheek. And when she sits up, she discovers the stuffed bunny she liked in the shop on her side. Her cheeks flush as she embraces her new bedmate. Sweet Cahill. Today, Enisha instructs Rashina to replicate her, which this old mage claims is simple. But as soon as she transforms, Enisha frankly states that her magic is sloppy. She adds that Rashina's copy will not deceive Noxita or Beluan, so she orders her to practice more until she masters it. Next, Enisha goes to Cahill and tells him to try concentrating his magic to turn it into a sword, which he does but cannot control yet and ends up covering the place in snow. He seems very dejected afterward, but then blushes when Enisha encourages him to practice more, making Rashina look horrified as she has never seen Cahill smile. But Dell seemed to be getting used to it now. Rochiel and Helard are pretty proud of Enisha as she rides the horse they gave her for her 8th birthday. After their horseback riding practice, they proceed to archery training, where Helard initially tries crushing the entire target to show off, and is overjoyed when Enisha compliments him. He never changed. Cutie. Enisha has been practicing archery because the ceremony to crown Helard Emperor is only a few days away. This is also the day that both twins will become adults, so there will be a large gathering of nobles and diplomats from throughout the continent, and Hyperion will throw a hunting tournament for their special guests. But Enisha isn't very good at shooting an arrow, so Rochiel suggests she add some magic to it. Sure enough, she strikes the target, and everyone starts cheering. They are now having a picnic under the golden tree, and as always, Enisha is being spoiled with pats and cheek pinches from her brothers. She is confident that Archis and Avartia will attend the coronation, which is why she has been training her Ivrote order to maintain peace across the continent. Just then, Helard gleefully asks if she wants to be the Empress. He can be in control of the military while Rochiel is in charge of administration, and she can sit on the throne. That would be amazing, though. However, just thinking about it gives Enisha nightmares, and becoming a high mage has already traumatized her, so she protests no, making her brothers laugh so hard. Helard hugs her and tells her that he will take the role while Rochiel pinches her and explains that they are only asking in case she wants the throne. Helard then pats her head and beams at her, promising her that she can do whatever she wants as they will be there to support her, causing Enisha to blush and thank him. A royal family that isn't battling for the crown? Love it. Meanwhile, in the nation of Judkar, Lady Cartina, Cahill's abusive stepmother, meets the ailing king and manipulates him into sending Ascion as Judkar's delegate to the coronation. Cartina, with her evil smile, requests that Ascion give her greetings to Cahill, which her son, who appears to be as evil as her, agrees to. Count your happy days now, you fools. Remember Barnett? She has become Anisha's only official friend, and they are currently sharing a beautiful tea time. Not only does Enisha find Barnett cute because she acts all mature yet still a kid at heart, but she also uses seeing her as an excuse to leave the palace. Suddenly, Barnett mentions the princes who are coming of age that year and express her belief that they will marry soon, leading Enisha to react with uncertainty, noting that neither of the princes is currently courting anyone. Afterward, Enisha enters her carriage where Dell and Rashina are waiting for her. During the ride, Rashina takes Anisha's hand to change the color of her eyes as part of her disguise, and Dell informs her that Cahill will be waiting for them in the plaza. Enisha greets Cahill as soon as she sees him, causing him to flush. He quickly wraps her robe around her and informs her that the Emperor will be late, asking if she would like to go for a walk. They then enter a weapons store specializing in decorative swords, and she soon spots a sword that she believes would make an excellent gift for the twins. Excitedly, she orders 3 matching daggers, but before the shop owner can proceed, a boy with brown hair bursts through the door, accompanied by a knight. The boy scans the shop and instructs the owner to give him the same daggers that Enisha has chosen. The shopkeeper stutters, prompting Enisha to notify the kid that she ordered first, causing him to react harshly. Sensing Cahill's aura, Enisha chooses to handle the problem herself, telling the boy to step outside where he belittles her. Just then, Daddy appears. Wait, is it just me or is he low-key getting hotter? He's aging like fine wine. At that moment, the knight who served the boy recognized the Emperor, but the disrespectful boy continued his harassment, prompting the knight to intervene. However, the boy ignored him and persisted, leading the knight to shout in an attempt to stop him. He called the boy a crazy bastard before quickly falling to his knees, apologizing and begging for their lives. Enisha then urges her father to leave, and he quickly agrees, not wanting to ruin his mood. Bless you, Mr. Knight. On their way, Enisha thinks it would be best to shift the Emperor's focus before he tells the knight to catch the bratty kid. She randomly points in a direction and tells her father that she wants to go to a corner where many people are gathered, discovering that it leads to a city notice board. To her surprise, she sees the Emperor's eyebrows furrowed in concern as he examines the board intently. Enisha glances at the board and notices a heartfelt letter from a father pleading for his son to return home. Suddenly, her father reminds her earnestly to share her feelings if she ever feels unhappy, and emphasizes that she should never consider running away from home, causing her to pause for a moment before agreeing. After dining at a fine restaurant, they stroll through the night market, with the Emperor carrying her. Enisha enjoys every moment until she notices a crowd gathered, watching what seems to be a play. Daddy lifts her onto his shoulders for a better view of the stage, and she laughs awkwardly upon realizing that the play is all about her. The crowd then cheers as the play reaches its climax, prompting Enisha to cover her flushed face with her ducky. Afterward, they continue to explore the other side of the market. Enisha suddenly wonders when she became accustomed to being carried around and how it seemed natural for her to be loved. She intends to confess the truth to the Emperor and the twins, but she fears that when the time comes, she will have to leave. In the past, she regarded Beluan, Noxida, and the citizens of Archis as her family. She made every effort to care for them and felt like the head of the household. However, now that she has blood relatives, she finds herself part of a different kind of family with the Emperor and the twins. She then realizes that she is somewhat late in accepting the truth that she is now a Hyperion. Yes, you might have been the High Mage before, but babe, you're also Enisha, our little precious boss. Rodgo finds himself in an arm wrestling contest because our little girl wants to win a shiny gold toy ship made in Archis. Rodgo, this charming troublemaker, chooses to show off those muscles, earning plenty of cheers from the ladies. This prompts his opponent, a rather hairy muscle man, to tear off his shirt, which certainly doesn't help his handsome appeal at all. The guy seems all high and mighty, but when the game kicks off, Rodgo just smashes his arm on the table, breaking it in a heartbeat. The crowd goes dead silent in total shock, while Enisha is just glowing, calling her dad the coolest. He is indeed. The prize is now in our baby's hands, and she gets all sleepy in her father's arms while a bunch of guys thinks it's a brilliant idea to snatch the toy ship from them. Spoiler alert, it's not. With a single word from the Emperor, the Imperial Knights materialize like magic, allowing our father and daughter to stroll away in peace, eventually arriving home to find the twins eagerly awaiting their return. Hyperion is in the last stretch of getting ready for the imperial coronation, and delegates from each nation are beginning to arrive. Enisha's Avartia order has been bustling with activity as well. Del is diligently at work creating a specific spell. Rashina's illusion spell is nearly polished to perfection, and Cahill? Well, he's still trying to figure out how to transform his ice into a sword. Meanwhile, in Archis, Noxida chats with Beluan about the strong chance that Scontia will attend the Hyperion coronation day. He finds the hawkman's obsession with Enisha troubling, especially since they think the guy is unaware that the princess is the High Mage. The truth is, Beluan discovered something unusual about the hawkman 3 years ago. It was their first meeting, yet Hawkman greeted him with a smile and said, "Long time no see." Beluan chooses to let it go and talks about restarting their magical goods trade with Scontia, hoping that the hawkman will agree to stop bothering Princess Enisha. However, the hawkman insists that his intentions are pure, leading to an immediate end to their negotiations. Today, the twins are taking turns holding their baby sister early in the morning, while anxiously reminding her not to miss them too much or, heaven forbid, forget their charming faces. This is, of course, an exaggeration. They're just going to be too swamped with the ceremony preparation to hang out with Enisha for a bit. The three enjoy breakfast together, and as always, the twins playfully bicker like little kids, while Enisha thinks about getting them some gifts. Enisha is off to bracelet shopping with Cahill for her brothers, when a noble kid makes an appearance, giving her an uneasy feeling. The kid walks up to them and offers to help Enisha, but she quickly says no. However, he keeps insisting, so Cahill steps in, only to discover that this little pest is none other than his half-brother, Ascion. Ascion puts on a friendly demeanor as he starts chatting about how much their mother misses Cahill, and with a smile, he mentions that Lysella, their sister, is currently with him in the Empire. However, Enisha notices a look in Cahill's eyes, filled with hatred and trauma. When he starts to zone out, she softly takes his hand, helping him snap back to reality. Ascion introduces himself to Enisha and asks for her name, which leads Cahill to pick her up and warn Ascion to choose his words wisely, as Enisha is someone deserving of respect. Cahill gives Ascion a serious look and mentions that the lady is his master, expecting him to recognize her. When they return to the palace, Cahill is on his knees apologizing to Enisha because they weren't able to buy the gift. She quickly assures him that it's nothing to worry about. She then offers to handle his half-brother if he wants her to, but he politely declines, which makes her smile at how genuinely nice this guy is for not taking advantage of the princess's power when it could have been so simple. Suddenly, the door swings open as Del rushes in to share the horrifying news that Scontia and Archis will be arriving on the same day. They'll be having their parades at the same time, and both nations are looking forward to the princess coming and seeing their festivities. This definitely doesn't sound great, and our little girl is pretty annoyed, calling these clingy nations crazy punks. Being the cutest is seriously a struggle. The twins finally have time to see their baby sister, so they decide to have tea together. But our future emperor still can't quite handle the bitter tea. He always needs to add milk and sugar. Enisha gives her coming-of-age gifts to her brothers, and when they see that they have matching bracelets, they exchange looks that say, "Ew!" This prompts Enisha to show her own bracelet, sharing that it's a matching set for the three of them, which instantly lifts the twin spirits. The Hyperion imperial family takes their place on a rather secure platform, ready to charm the masses, and naturally, the esteemed delegates making their parades. The twins are clearly flaunting their bracelets as they wave to the crowd, while poor Rodgo is sulking, leaving Enisha wishing she had bought one for her dad. Adorable little darlings. Scontia has finally made its grand entrance, and their parade is serving some serious Aladdin flair with all the Middle Eastern-style dancing ladies and the elephants strutting their stuff. They're tossing out gold coins while the hawkman sits comfortably like he's Prince Ali or something, and just watching it all makes Enisha feel very tired. Archis's parade is on the other side, and it bothers Enisha that she only sees Beluan and Noxida. Out of nowhere, they whip up some magic, and bam! 2 phoenixes appear. And then this epic floating island just shows up, leaving everyone totally mind-blown. The mages on the floating island toss jewels to the crowd, and everyone absolutely enjoys it. Scontia's gold coins just got wrecked. Suddenly, a bright flash lights up the crowd for a moment, and when they blink back to reality, they're totally shook to find that the floating island has vanished. Then, the mages swoop down with their incredible magical wings, looking like total powerhouses, with Noxida and Beluan right in the center to wrap up their performance. That's a 10 out of 10 for me. The parades might have charmed the masses, but our Hyperion lads are less than thrilled, especially with the Emperor fuming. Helard is busy clicking his tongue in disapproval, while Rochiel, with his cold gaze, tells them to brace themselves for dealing with the two nations. Oh dear, the strain of dealing with two big nations! The ceremony kicks off, and my oh my, the once adorable and brash Helard has truly transformed into a dapper gentleman in his regal attire and sleek appearance. He drops to one knee before the Emperor, who beams with delight as he declares him the new crown prince, prompting a jubilant celebration among everyone present. Time flies so fast, and I couldn't be prouder! As the banquet starts that evening, the nobles can't help but be enchanted by how adorable Enisha is, prompting her dad and brothers to shower her with compliments, something she's pretty used to by now. Enisha scans the crowd and notices a few notable guests, including the hawkman and Cahill, who is surrounded by ladies. Not only is he known for being a contractor of an ancient spirit, but he's also very handsome, making him popular among the young ladies. Enisha can't help but giggle when she spots Noxida and Bellawan in the crowd, like a tortoise in its shell, with Belle chatting away with the nobles, while adorable Noxida peeks out from behind him. She knows how much Noxida dislikes noisy events, and she's already aware that he's here just to see her, so she gives him a wave that makes him smile. But whoopsie, Daddy noticed that and is feeling a bit upset about Anisha's interest in Noxida. Our sweet girl quickly gives him a hug and playfully declares that she will marry him. That move really helps him calm down, but he does let her know that she can't marry him. Our little girl gets all pouty and declares that she'll marry someone just like Daddy instead, which makes the twins scream that she can't. Meanwhile, Dad just looks so satisfied. The Hyperion lads will be caught up in their noble shenanigans, so Helard trusts Cahill to look after his little sister. Helard tells Cahill he needs to chop off the fingers of anyone who tries to mess with Enisha, and Cahill is totally on board for that. Enisha, on the other hand, is just glad it's only fingers. Pretty restrained for her big bro, honestly. Once Helard is gone, Enisha proudly displays her beautiful dress to Cahill, who can only nod in agreement, feeling so flustered that he starts to overheat. Ugh, of course, someone has to ruin the mood, and it's Ascion and his little sis, Lucella. Gosh, these little pocket-sized gremlins! Ascion expresses his apologies to the princess for his poor manners during their last encounter and kindly asks her for a dance. This prompts Enisha to call him crazy, and she quickly turns to look at her family. And yeah, the Hyperion boys are all super mad right now. Before the guys can do anything, Cahill steps in and slaps Ascion's hand away, reminding him that he is in Hyperion, not Jakar, so that kind of disrespect isn't welcome here. Lucella, the little girl, jumps in and scolds Cahill for speaking badly to Ascion, saying she'll let their mother know about it. She also gets upset with Enisha for being harsh by trampling on her brother's feelings, which, oh dear, isn't a great idea, because it summons not only the hawkman but also Noxida and Bellawan into the scene. And oh, of course, we can't forget Helard, who now looks like he could really pack a punch. It definitely gives Enisha a sense of deja vu from that time he ruined her first tea party. Lucella, babe, you really should have just slept, but now, say hi to your first trauma. Helard rushes to his little sister, gently touching her face to check if she's okay, which prompts Lucella to start acting like the victim. Watching her, Enisha wonders what makes Lucella think Helard will support her. Like, what the helly? Helard then confronts the members of the Judcar delegation, questioning whether they think Hyperion is so insignificant that Judcar would send illegitimate children to the coronation of the Hyperion prince. In this era, it is considered a significant discourtesy for illegitimate members of a royal family to lead a delegation. However, their mother likely believed that the Empire would be eager to support Ascion's induction into the royal family if it meant keeping control over an asset like Cahill. This prompts Lucella and Ascion to dash out of the banquet hall. Never thought Helard would just throw words at the kids instead of going all out. He's totally a crown prince now. As Enisha is about to leave with Cahill, Noxita and Bellawan approach her from the left, while the hawkman stands on her right. Each expresses a desire to speak with her, making her feel awkward. Just then Helard interrupts and requests the hawkman for a private discussion. Enisha takes the chance to chat with Noxita and Bellawan on the terrace, where Noxita casts a soundproof spell so they can talk openly, while Bellawan gets a comfy chair ready for the princess. Enisha begins to get serious and asks him if they still remember Avartia, the evil spirit who took down the other 6 sovereigns to be the last one standing. Absolutely they remember! How could they possibly forget when she's the one who sealed him away? Enisha shares that after her powers were sealed away, the seal keeping Avartia confined was also broken, and he has now found a new body to inhabit. It's the hawkman of Skancha. Enisha feels that Avartia is after her soul and is patiently waiting for her to regain all of her power before he makes his move to devour her. This prompts Bellawan to share the strange words the hawkman mentioned before, particularly the long time no see phrase. Enisha finds it odd too, as she knows Bellawan has never met Avartia before. Enisha gently reminds the two to be careful, as Avartia might try to take their bodies, which makes them a bit grumpy that she underestimates their strength. It's not about how powerful they are. Enisha just wants them to be extra vigilant since the two of them are precious to her. Noxida adorably agrees, like a little puppy, earning a sweet head pat from our princess. The more I look at him, the cuter he seems to be becoming. Bellawan then inquires if Enisha has finally decided to return, prompting Enisha to slightly smile and declare that her answer remains unchanged from before. She still hasn't gotten her full power back, and they still haven't figured out who the traitor in Archis is. If she comes back now, nothing will get sorted. It'll just spark an endless war between Archis and Hyperion. She then proposes that the most brilliant move at this point is for them to select a new High Mage, leading Noxida to wistfully inquire if she harbors the same love for Hyperion as she does for Archis, or if perhaps Hyperion has stolen her heart even more. Enisha pulls a sad face, but she quickly reassures them that her love for Archis is as unwavering as ever, while also admitting that Hyperion has made its way into her heart too. A brief hush falls as Bellawan graciously bows, accepting her choice, before declaring that they shall make a discreet exit to Archis after the festivities, and off they go. Meanwhile, a Jadkar knight approaches Cahill and informs him that Ascion has requested his presence, which he decides to oblige. When Cahill steps into the room, he straightforwardly tells Ascion to stay away from the princess, which makes Ascion quite upset, insisting that no one can boss him around. Cahill coolly retorts, warning him that he can't order him around either, suggesting he keep his childish antics for Jadkar. This infuriates Ascion to the point where he hurls a bottle of potion at him. However, it feels like someone's low-key pulling some strings here, making that bottle roll right to the door just as Enisha is about to open it. Once that bottle shatters, the poison rushes straight to Anisha's heart. Our girl drops to her knees, breathing heavily, so Cahill quickly scoops her up while his ice spheres are all aimed at Ascion as he furiously demands to know what he did to the princess. Ascion is feeling really anxious, and all he can say is that it's from their mother, which makes the ice spheres come closer to his face, causing him to start bleeding. Enisha, still in pain, asks Cahill to take her to the golden tree, which spares Ascion's life as they teleport away. It seems that Urga was the one who ensured the bottle broke in front of the princess, following Avartia's command. He also lets Avartia know that the princess has gone to the Golden Forest, which is a bit disappointing for Avartia since he was hoping she would finally come to him for help. He's finished chatting with Helard, and it seems our crown prince is asking for a coming-of-age gift from him, which he finds quite intriguing. Enisha is feeling extremely hot, forcing Cahill to surround her with ice, but it just melts. She knows that suppressing her power with even greater power will be the most effective method to end the curse, and the only person capable of accomplishing this is Avartia. But approaching him in her current state would be like entering the lion's lair. With determination, Enisha tries her best to suppress her powers, and a flash of light bursts from her, signaling that she has successfully released the force inside her. She has a hard time breathing, and Cahill rushes to help her, getting so emotional that he starts crying until her breathing calms down. Cahill quickly embraces her and vows to take revenge on everyone who has harmed her, which causes Enisha to feel anxious. Although she wishes to reassure him that she's okay now, she doesn't have the energy to say it. Meanwhile, Ascion anxiously contemplates his next move, convinced that he will never escape alive after what he did to Enisha. To his surprise, Cahill suddenly appears before him, prompting him to run for his life, only to stumble as he attempts to open the door. Cahill grabs his hands, and all that can be heard is Ascion's voice screaming, "Oh la la!" The next day, Enisha awakens to Rashina, assuring her that they were able to keep what happened last night a secret since she assisted Cahill by acting like her while Rodgo and the twins were busy with the celebration. Enisha then learns that Ascion has lost his right arm, but Rashina couldn't get more information because the Jadkar delegation has already fled the Empire. Cahill is more vicious than I thought. 6 days later, the hunting competition begins, and to kick off the competition, the 3 stars of Hyperion will participate in the first hunt. Helard confidently sits on his horse as he aims his bow at a flying bird, and with precise calculation, he successfully hits it. Afterward, Rochiel prepares for his turn. A wild boar charges toward him, and he effortlessly pierces it with his arrow. Next is Enisha's turn to showcase her skills, and everyone finds her adorable as she intently focuses on the target. She aims her bow, which begins to glow, and when she releases her arrow, it flies straight. But to their surprise, the entire tree just turns to dust. While alone in the tent, Enisha considers examining the magic amplifier stone, which would allow her to cast spells as powerful as those from her time as a high mage. However, she feels apprehensive, as using the stone would expose her true identity, and the fact that Avartia created it only adds to her concerns. Suddenly, Avartia appears behind her, wondering if she's anxious, but Enisha avoids looking back and instead urges him to return to hunting. To her surprise, Avartia lifts her up and advises her to be careful, telling her to let him know if she needs assistance before he disappears, revealing that Avartia obviously knows something. Before the day concludes, the Emperor expresses his gratitude to all the guests who participated in the hunting competition and begins the award ceremony. Enisha is prepared to present the golden lion statue to the winner, but just before the Emperor can announce it, the crowd falls silent as Beluan and Noxida step forward. Suddenly, Beluan proclaims that Hyperion's 3rd star is the Arch's High Mage, startling everyone. Then, the sky gets filled with mages whose wings make them look angelic. Beluan then launches a violet ray of light, revealing a gigantic birdcage, and Enisha, surrounded by the violet glow, floats straight towards the cage. This unexpected change of events shocks the Emperor, who reaches out for his beloved daughter while Enisha cries and looks back at him. The secret has been revealed, and now we're in for a showdown! Noxida checks on Enisha, who is clearly furious right now, but he would rather have her hate him than live without her returning to Archis before flying away. Remember the assignment Enisha gave Del? It is now casted on her arm, and it is a defensive magic capable of destroying any restrictions. A dazzling light illuminates as she activates it, and the cage begins to crack, catching the Emperor's attention. He executes a powerful slash, which eventually causes it to shatter, and Enisha falls into his embrace. This causes her to feel nervous, and she wants to tell him that it was never her goal to deceive him, but no words come out. To her surprise, Rodgo says she can explain it later. He just asks her not to leave Hyperion, and she nods with tears in her eyes. Rochiel then orders the knights to aim their arrows directly at the mages hovering above them. The knights ensure that devices made in Archis restrain any mages who fall to the ground, preventing their escape. In response, Beluan directs the mages to use their protective spells. As Enisha sees the unfolding events, she knows that neither side can afford to sustain any further injuries, so she informs her father that they must split up for her to lure their enemies away. She leaps out of his arms, and as soon as she summons her Evrote order, Del casts a blinding light, and both he and Cahill hold the princess in their arms before running in different directions. Beluan and Noxida went their separate ways to chase after both princesses, which leads the twins to do the same and follow them, while the Emperor chooses to stay behind to deal with the remaining mages. Del is actually carrying Rashina in disguise, and they are pursued by Helard and Beluan. They are caught by Bel, and this guy looks so distressed as he begs Enisha to empathize with how they are feeling right now. But Helard comes in and tells him to shut up. Helard doesn't care if Enisha was a high mage or not. What matters is that she is Hyperion's 3rd star and his sister. Bel laughs at him because it is well known that Hyperion never cared about family, causing Helard to argue that this has changed since Enisha was born. The two become more serious, with Bel summoning his magical doggos and our crown prince, his golden eyes glinting as he unsheaths his sword. Wow, Hellard's aura just skyrocketed! On the opposite side, Cahill is trying to run as fast as he can with the real Enisha in his arms, but he is held back by Noxida's power. Cahill points his sword at Noxida, but it appears that it is too early for our boy to face this powerful mage head-on, as he has already had his leg cut. Fortunately, my guy, Rochiel, appears with his battalion and tells Cahill to take Enisha to a safer area while he handles Noxida himself. Cahill and Enisha manage to find a good area to catch their breath, and Enisha quickly wraps Cahill's leg injury. He asks as to whether she is truly Archis' high mage, and honestly, the entire situation is causing her to have an identity crisis. She's unsure if she is Hyperion's princess or the high mage. All she can say is an apology, but the truth is that he doesn't care who she is. He simply wants her to take him with her, whether in Archis or Hyperion. He's kneeling and claims that he can do everything. He has previously served as a mercenary. He can do chores and carry out dirty tasks, you name it. Cahill appears on the verge of tears as he pleads with her not to abandon him, which leads Enisha to gently pat his head and assure him that she'll always bring him along wherever she goes. However, she gently reminds him that he mustn't harm anyone, as both Hyperion and Archis are dear to her heart. Is there even a way to end this war peacefully? A crackling, exploding sound can be heard in the distance where Noxida and Rochiel are fighting, and the blinding lights are on non-stop. Noxida suddenly pops out from the woods, and Enisha freaks out at the sight of his bloodied cheeks and hands, her mind racing with the thought that he might have murdered Rochiel. No way, they better not do this to my Rochiel, or I'm dropping this. Enisha coldly asks Noxida what he did to Rochiel, but when she gets no response, she screams brutally at him, prompting him to become upset because she is only concerned with her new family. He cries and continues to babble, but our princess doesn't care as she gives him one final chance to tell her what he did to the prince. Since she has heard nothing, she resolves to use the gift she received from Avartia and show Archis the true power of the High Mage, as they had always wanted. With a powerful spell she casts, the light reaches the Emperor, and the mages in the sky fall like pesticide-sprayed bugs. The Emperor recognizes immediately that it is Enisha's power, and he has always assumed that her great power stems from her status as the third star. But he is no longer certain. She might be the High Mage or something, but all he truly wants is to see Enisha's smile stay bright and never fade away. Although our baby has always been an angel, witnessing her now with golden glowing wings is truly breathtaking. She's amazed by Avartia's magic amplifier stone because she feels like her old self again. The mages quickly recognize her abilities as the High Mage, and they are all stunned when she strikes them all so easily. Below her, she spots Helard, and she feels glad to see him alive. For her final attack, she directs her powers at Belle and Noxida, who simply stand there ready to accept their fate. After using up all of the stone's power, her magical wings vanish, and Cahill is there to catch her as always. She is now in his arms when Helard approaches, prompting her to hold his cloth and smile, saying how relieved she is that at least he's okay before passing out. I know you're all curious about what happened during Noxida and Rochiel's fight. True, Noxida easily defeated Rochiel and his knights, but he chose not to harm the prince because he didn't want to upset Enisha. Thank goodness! However, Noxida made sure to hurt Rochiel's legs, and now he is in bed healing, his thoughts preoccupied with how to build defenses against summoning magic and rebuild their military. Rochiel's musings are interrupted when Helard informs him that Enisha thought he was dead and burst into tears after discovering that he was alive. This prompts Rochiel to ask Helard what he thinks of Enisha right now, and he smiles and says that her being the High Mage does not change the fact that they spent 8 wonderful years together. Helard is positive that Enisha loves Hyperion, since she would not attack Archis if she didn't. So as a simple-minded guy, he prefers not to overthink things and will simply go with his feelings. Love Helard for this. For the first time, Rochiel finds himself praising Helard's simplicity, but since his mind operates a bit differently, Helard recommends that Rochiel have a talk with Enisha to draw his own conclusions. The Hyperion Empire staged the entire event, as the Archis attempt to get the princess as their High Mage after their current High Mage passed away. Yup, the Empire chooses to share a mix of little lies along with the truth with everyone. The night before Enisha is summoned to see the Emperor, Avartia pays her a visit and attempts to instill fear in her, telling her that now that the Hyperion family knows she deceived him, she's unlikely to be forgiven. He guarantees her that he is the only one who will accept her for who she is, and that all she has to do is ask for his help. But all he gets is a glare and the stern word, "Get lost," from our girl. The following day, she walks nervously into the room where her father and brothers are waiting for her. When Rodgo calls her princess, Enisha gets goosebumps since this is the first time her father has spoken to her in such a cold voice, leading her to believe that he has made the decision to let her go. She kneels before them. No, her back curves forward in surrender and her head bows so low that her forehead touches the ground as she begs the Emperor to spare the mages of Arches. Rodgo screams at Enisha to lift her head, and when she doesn't budge, he quickly walks over, picks her up, and wraps her in a warm embrace. He does not want his daughter to beg for such lowlifes, which causes her to cry her eyes out, and she realizes she loves her family more than she thought. Who's chopping onions here? The twins walk over, and Helard is lost for words as he sees his baby sister in tears, while Rochiel comes to the realization that he truly can't imagine life without her. I just knew these simps couldn't hate her. Enisha tells her family everything except about Avartia, fearing they will launch a war with Scansha. Helard gives her a reassuring smile and tells her that she doesn't have to pick between being a high mage or a princess. All she has to do is keep being their little baby sister, and I love that. Enisha decides to see Beluan and Noxida in their cell, and ask whether they resent her now, but they admit that what they did was wrong. Noxida sobs, stating that he was jealous but never intended to assassinate her, gaining pats from her. She then cups Belle's face, and he shares that the Emperor dropped by to learn more about her, which hits him with the realization of just how much the Emperor genuinely cares for her. That night, Rodgo chooses to spend the night with his baby, gently patting her to sleep, when Enisha opens up about her past as an orphan. She felt such joy when she discovered a family in Arches and in Hyperion, but in both lives, Rodgo is the only father she has ever had, and that brings a smile to both her and Rodgo's faces. What a fantastic rap! The conflict between Hyperion and Arches raged over the continent, and Hyperion emerged victorious. To reach the point of an agreement, they hold a secret meeting, and Belle proposes that Hyperion allows its high mage to spend the summer and winter in Arches. But then, 1, 2, 3, Helard screams in protest! The Emperor proposes a week, but Rochiel declines, prompting Noxida to comment on how rude the prince is. This prompts Rochiel to firmly remind Noxida of his past actions, causing the puppy to look pouty at Enisha as he seeks her help. Enisha decides to speak out and requests 1 month, but the Emperor cuts her off and says 3 weeks will suffice. Our girl approves, and she tells her family that she would be cautious and bring her Ivrote order with her. In exchange, Enisha wants Arches to export their magical items to Hyperion, and the Emperor adds one more condition. They will only send Enisha after her 10th birthday. So glad things worked out! 2 years later, it's Enisha's 10th birthday, and the twins make sure to be the first to greet her when she wakes up. They gave her a self-defense gift for her birthday, hoping she can use it in the future. Enisha is surprised with a full meal, flower confetti, and a band playing in the background when she had asked for a simple lunch from her father. The boys deny everything because it is simple according to their standards, and that's how they wrap up her day. Today is the day Enisha leaves for Arches, and she cutely kisses her dad on the cheeks, prompting the twins to make a fuss. Suddenly, a floating ship appears with Noxida and Beluan on board, and she departs with them, leaving our poor boys lonely as they must patiently wait 21 days, 504 hours, and 30,240 minutes for her return. Them counting time is so cute and funny. Beluan and Noxida go to hug their high mage and express how much they miss her. But whoopsie, Cahill is here to shove them away from the princess, as ordered by the Emperor himself. The other mages can't keep their curiosity at bay, and when they realize how lovely the high mage has become, they can't help but simp. Watching these mages makes Cahill overprotective of Enisha, prompting our girl to convince him that they all mean well and are just simple-minded folks who love magic. Belle reacts by stating that the people of Arches love the high mage second only to their love of magic. Cahill wants to know more, prompting Belle to make fun of him, telling him that he should properly ask if he's really curious. To Belle's disbelief, Cahill really asks him respectfully and even offers to go on his knees, forcing Belle to quickly stop him. My boy will really go above and beyond for Enisha. Belle facepalms and complains that everyone around Enisha is blindly loyal to her, prompting Enisha to tease him about being included in that group, to which he shyly accepts. When they finally arrive at Arches, Enisha realizes that they haven't lit the torch since her disappearance. Using her magical power, she lights it up, which gets everyone super hyped because this is the ultimate sign that the High Mage has truly returned. They hold a banquet, and everyone is having such a great time that Enisha can't help but smile as she watches them. But that smile quickly turns to shock when she steps into the office packed with a mountain of unchecked documents. Enisha goes into High Mage mode and starts checking some documents when Tenerife calls to tell them about a rumor that a member of the Taming clan is alive, which leaves Enisha and Beluan quite shocked while Noxida looks really shaken up. I wonder... Tenerife adds that the association currently has no genuine evidence, so Enisha resolves to investigate on her own on the mainland. Del reminds Enisha that she has an agreement to stay only in Archis, so her solution is to have Rashina cast a spell that would make her look older as a disguise. Rashina believes that age 17 or 18 is the ideal age disguise. Thus, Enisha enters Rashina's spell, and our baby girl transforms into a lovely, graceful, and stunning lady. Enisha looks at Cahill, who flushes and quickly looks away, while Rashina says the princess's appearance right now is far too dangerous, as she is outrageously beautiful. And I agree. Del said they can't reverse the magic right now because it'll take some time. Enisha looks at Belle, who is also unable to make eye contact with her, and since they're out of time, he advises that they cover her face, while Noxida worries that she would be kidnapped. Yet our girl is completely oblivious of her beauty. Noxida chooses to get some fresh air, but he can't help but recall how he was tossed into an underground pool of blood with dead bodies when he was a kid. His father was the Timur clan's leader, and he punished him because he claimed he couldn't slay anyone. Noxida's only way out of that stinking torment was to revive the dead and escape. But all baby Noxida could do was cry when the High Mage arrived, wondering why he wasn't doing anything. When Noxida mentioned he didn't want to use his powers, the High Mage reached out and saved him. His father tried to take him back, but when he requested the High Mage to take them all out, she smiled and went ahead with it. The group finally arrived at the Continental Magic Association, an organization established by the continent's mages. Although it was originally intended to overthrow Archis, the association ends up engaging in more communication with Archis than any other nation. Enisha shows them an amulet necessary for entering and exiting the area, and together they proceed into the building. Inside, the association's president, who closely resembles Rashina, is waiting for them. She quickly spots Rashina in the group and exclaims, "Sis!" And to everyone's surprise, Rashina also recognizes her sister, Jenna. Afterward, Jenna briefly informs them that 3 months ago, the son of a count had too much to drink and died following a fight with some mercenaries on the street. Naturally, the family was grieving their son's death. Then one day, the count started talking about his son being alive. Shortly after, the son was seen going around the streets with the count, still very alive. Jenna then tells them about the masquerade ball that night, and a rumor suggests the count's son will be attending. She offers to secure invitations for them, causing Belle to nod as a sign of approval. Jenna begins to boast that with the High Mage now gone, Beluan is free to join them, prompting Belle to shoot her a glare as silence falls over the group. Suddenly, Enisha removes her hood and radiates a golden light, prompting Jenna to recognize her as the High Mage. Enisha smiles before presenting Jenna with a choice: beg for forgiveness or lose an arm. Pretty and deadly. Jenna's in timeout, kneeling with her arms up, swearing to use the right words the next time. Jenna wants to know more about what happened to the High Mage, but our girl swiftly declines and cautions her not to tell anybody about her, to which Jenna readily complies. Enisha orders Rashina and Del to stay at the association while the rest attend the masquerade. The squad rolls up to the masquerade, and Enisha and Cahill are totally serving looks together. Enisha wonders why Cahill never asked her questions about the Timur tribe, prompting him to respond that he is simply pleased with being with her and has no interest in Noxida's past. Suddenly, a few strands of her hair fall out, leading him to let her borrow the hairpin she gave him before. He softly arranges her hair and playfully reminds her to return the hairpin because it means a lot to him, prompting her to say that he can be quite cheeky at times. A red-haired courtesan approaches them, and Enisha asks Cahill to grab her a drink so she can speak privately with the lady. The ladies take their seats, with Enisha looking dejected as she explains that her escort is obsessed with her and wants to meet someone else. This leads the courtesan to reveal that the best are actually in the back. but only a few are permitted to enter, raising Enisha's suspicion that the Count's son is there. Enisha needs access, so the courtesan points to a man in the distance, claiming that he will be able to get her entrance to the back. This man is the Moryakan Kingdom's crown prince, and he is a respectable man who is dedicated to his studies. However, people begin to mock him, claiming that he is impotent because he has never courted a woman, which is why he is forced to attend this party. As soon as the courtesan leaves, Enisha asks Cahill to keep up a good show since she plans to use her dangerous face for their mission. She walks up to the prince, and even with her mask on, the charm is so strong it's making him blush already. This is Cahill's time to step in and forcefully grab Anisha's hand, leading the prince to jump in and walk away with Enisha. Enisha shoots Cahill a cheeky wink, leaving him to let out a dramatic sigh. They make their way to the terrace, and Enisha begins her show, claiming to be a courtesan from afar who has come to the ball in search of someone. She then mentions that the person is in the back, before playfully asking for Prince Marzian's help, which he instantly agrees to. He lets her know that they can only go in through the back with a special coin, just like he has. As soon as Enisha gets her hands on it, she quickly makes the prince fall asleep. Cahill and Enisha rush into the private area and are horrified to see that all of the nobles are high on drugs. They found the Count's son, who apparently rose from the dead, but it's too late because the Timur person appears to have taken the boy's life force. Fortunately, Enisha can still detect a remnant of the magic, so they follow it, only to realize that it is the courtesan lady from earlier. The redhead begins to unleash her powers and summon dead people, which only makes Enisha smirk as she displays her distinct golden magic, causing the redhead to realize she's up against the High Mage herself. It's about to get intense, but nah, Enisha orders Cahill to take care of the redhead because, her power right now is all for show, causing our boy to sigh. Nonetheless, Cahill easily beats Miss Redhead just in time for our little princess to revert to her adorable original form and sleep in his arms because it's past her bedtime. The next day, Enisha carefully shares with Noxita that they have taken care of the last survivor of the Timur tribe. Before she can say more, Noxita wraps her in a warm embrace, letting her know that she truly is his favorite person and that he will always be by her side. Out of everyone, he's seriously the softiest person. Now that's all taken care of, the High Mage, along with her left and right mages, are in the office with the other mages and will be starting the Archis Council meeting after many years. Enisha wants to talk about Archis' next steps now that the demon Avartia is pretending to be Skancha's hawkman. However, they plan on moving cautiously, especially because he's no longer just a demon but a well-known figure, making this an issue of international concern. One mage speaks up, wondering if Avartia is the reason the High Mage's power was sealed. But Beluan immediately refutes this, stating that Avartia was only freed after the High Mage passed away and lost her powers, implying that whoever sealed away the High Mage's power is a traitor hiding in Archis. The entire conference room is filled with murmurs, prompting the High Mage to instruct them not to chase down any traitors, since she does not want Archis to be divided, especially now that they are under external pressure following the public announcement of the High Mage's passing. She hopes they can stay united and not waste their energy, but with her icy tone and lethal glare, she makes it clear to the traitor that she won't be deceived again. It's so much fun when she switches to her evil mode. Anisha's time in Archis has come to an end, and they returned a day earlier than expected. It turns out that when the mages discovered Cahill's magical abilities, they began pursuing him as if they wanted to dissect him like some science project. These crazy magic-obsessed people! The Hyperion boys are all there to welcome her home, and she can't help but notice that Rochiel is in a cheerful mood, while Helard seems a bit down. Well, it looks like Helard is engaged now, or should I say, Rochiel sold him off to the princess of the Elhark Kingdom. The princess was rumored to be in a tough competition for the throne with her older brother, but after losing, she was offered in marriage to press her to leave their kingdom. Elhark offered a huge dowry, and since it's such a strong nation, coming in second to the Empire, plus the princess is brave enough to pursue the throne, Rochiel thinks she will be a wonderful addition to the Empire. Enisha observes that Helard is feeling really down, so she whips up a cake for him since he likes sweets. But then Rashina catches a glimpse and totally roasts it, calling it dog food. So yeah, the cake goes to the trash. Enisha decides to eat and study cake at a pastry shop when she notices a lovely red-haired lady who feels let down since the shop is sold out. Enisha chooses to share her order with the lady, and they get along remarkably well. Suddenly, the lady sighs, revealing that she is set to marry someone who is known to be violent, short-tempered, and arrogant. However, she does learn that he has a little sister who he adores, which makes her relieved that her fiancé has some human traits. We all know someone with that personality, right? Enisha can't help but think of Helard too, but she never realizes that the lady is talking about her brother. They continue eating, and Enisha is puzzled about why the lady is beaming. Like, darling, you're just too adorable for her to handle. Enisha lets her touch her face, and the lady happily and softly squishes it. Same, I totally want to do that. The lady wonders if Enisha has ever received confession. But who would dare when there are our Hyperion guys, not to mention the right and left mages of Arches to deal with first. Enisha claims that her problem is that too many people like her, and that if she chooses someone to love, she fears she would ruin their life. I know someone who is brave enough to do it, but it's too early, so no shipping yet. Anyway, hearing how Enisha is surrounded by overprotective individuals fascinates the lady, because she understands them, because she too would want to trouble anybody our baby girl dates. After some time, the lady says her goodbyes, hoping to meet her again. On her way out, she passes by Rashina and gives her a cold stare, causing our poor mage to shudder in fear. Rashina then informs Enisha that the woman is the infamous witch of Elhark, Judith, and the fiancé of our very own crown prince. Rashina is super shook when Enisha calls the witch friendly because, nothing about Judith screams friendly. She's a total baddie who wears armor instead of dresses, makes her enemies stay down for good, and if she has to, she'll take them out. She's a baddie who likes Enisha, so I'm excited to see her and Hellard's relationship blossom. Anyway, Judith's shadow would make anyone quake in fear, but the Elhark kingdom is not ready to be ruled by a queen, so her brother and nobles conspire to take her down. They want to send her to a small nation, but the Hyperion Empire, the best of the best, is the first to take the so-called witch as a bride. Judith waltzes into the palace and finally lays eyes on our Helard. But oh dear, their greeting is laced with such mutual disdain that you could practically hear their inner thoughts screaming for each other's demise. Such a match made in heaven, and I'm all aboard the ship. Our very curious little girl is curious about how the two get along, so she goes to see them. Helard immediately gets soft and carries his baby sister, while Judith glows with glee, confusing Big Bro. Enisha explains that she met Judith by chance and shared some cake with her, causing Helard to coldly look before crying tantrums like a child over her having cake with that woman, but never went outside the palace with him. Who would even guess that this guy is super violent? When Enisha suggests going with him to a nicer shop to eat cake the next time, Helard nods happily, making her groan since she's concerned about what Judith will think of the imperial family when the crown prince is acting so silly. Oh, darling, believe me, everyone wants a guy like your brother. Rochiel then appears after hearing that Enisha is with them, and he wants to fetch her up, but Judith smiles and says that she is good with having Enisha. Our little sunshine then whispers to Judith that she will keep their last chat a secret, making Judith blush while Enisha giggles. The girls then hold hands, while our twins look so confused. That very evening, the Hyperion boys gather for a serious meeting. No, there is no war. They simply dislike Judith and their baby princess's lovey-dovey relationship. Rochiel insists that they take action because if Judith legally marries Helard, she will eventually settle for good in the palace, which means she will take Enisha from them, which they cannot allow. I can't with these three. Helard advises that they strengthen their relationship with Enisha, and they all agree that a family trip is the best way to resolve their issue. After the Continental Magic Association discovered that Enisha is the High Mage, Rashina and Del were able to get every piece of information Jenna holds, and they now know that Avartia has been providing financial support to Magic Association branches in each nation in exchange for their assistance to the West. Enisha wants Jenna to keep her contact with Scontia so that she may spy on him and learn more about what's going on. Enisha also receives further information about spirits, which she shares with Cahill. When they are still in Arches, Bellawan remarked that the spirit of the North's power was comparable to that of the demon monarch in the past. Thus, he was amazed that Cahill survived. He also notes that once Cahill reaches adulthood and his body stabilizes, he will be able to better control his power. Cahill's coming of age is already next year, which reminds Enisha that Arches is currently focusing their research on magical seals, since she intends to break her seal during her own coming of age. Suddenly, the Hyperion boys appear in front of her and enthusiastically inform her that they're going on vacation. They arrive at Latagne on the Empire's eastern edge, so they probably won't be recognized as the Imperial family. Enisha joyfully runs to the beach while our boys cutely follow her. Rashina is so surprised at how the princess truly transformed the feral Hyperions into sweet little sheep. Exactly, right? Adorable, aren't they? Rochiel has planned a full itinerary to make this the best family vacation ever, including playing beach volleyball. And seeing how excited the three boys are, Enisha decides to play along. Rodgo teams up with Enisha, and Daddy is so focused on winning that it frustrates the twins. They entice our little girl into eating lunch, which makes her very pleased, and she lovingly holds Helard and Rochiel's hands while these lads sneer at their father, as if indicating that they won in the end. Their family dynamic is everything. They are enjoying a lovely meal at the restaurant, but it gets disrupted by a scuffle between a group of arrogant men and some hooded individuals, prompting them to leave early. But then the commotion escalates and... uh-oh, a whole bowl of soup flies over Enisha's head, awakening the sleeping dragons with the Hyperion boys. Well, see you later, take care and farewell, adios, bye-bye, and sayonara. The chaos breaks out, and Cahill has to cover Enisha's eyes as Rashina cleans her hair. After a while, she asks if no one is dead, and Cahill simply says, "No one, yet." So she chooses to look and discovers that the entire restaurant is in a mess, with all of the men unconscious. One man lifts his head when he probably should have just played dead, and now Helard raises a knife to attack. But when Enisha calls their names, the Hyperion boys instantly freeze. Enisha walks over to her daddy and sweetly asks him to stop, looking all droopy because she's still hungry. This instantly changes the mood of the boys, and now their main focus is getting her to eat. Those in the hoods approach the Hyperions to thank them for their help. But when they remove their hoods, Enisha is horrified to discover it is Prince Marzion. The prince sees the courtesan lady in Enisha and freaks out, asking her if she has an elder sister or cousin, but is blocked by the twins. To get his chance to speak with Enisha, the prince chooses to reveal his identity and offers to treat them to a supper in exchange for their kindness, when the Lord of Latagne, Prince Marzion's distant relative, appears unexpectedly. This shady man wants to express their gratitude as well, while Enisha recognizes him as Avartia. Humans can make contracts with evil spirits to gain power, but they risk losing their bodies to those evil spirits. It appears that the Lord of Latagne made a contract with Avartia and ended up losing his body. Enisha tells her father that the offer isn't bad because she's hungry as well, but the truth is that she doesn't want to leave Avartia now that he's intentionally shown his face to her. They are now in the Latagne mansion, and the twins decide to sleep with Enisha because sleeping alone in an unfamiliar area is dangerous for her. These siblings appear extra heartwarming as they chit-chat in bed, and their conversation ends with discussing Judith, prompting Helard to claim that he doesn't like her because Enisha does. Helard has never been concerned about who his wife is, as Hyperions are unable to feel emotions. However, Rochiel assures Enisha that they will do everything she desires, while Helard adds a little condition. She must not love Judith more than them. Their amusing and slightly bitter words make her giggle, and soon they drift off to sleep. Meanwhile, Rodgo is drinking wine with the Latagne lord, who informs him that because he's from the countryside, he wants him to share information about the capital. This makes Rodgo snicker, and he says that being a countryman does not fit him because he knows he is the hawkman. Avartia cracks up as he's reminded that the Hyperion Emperor is a different breed that he cannot fool. He adds that the princess will not be pleased with their private meeting, which prompts Rodgo to coldly ask what would happen if he were to kill him right now. Uh-oh. Actually, after their dinner, Avartia offered Rodgo a drink, which makes Enisha somewhat uneasy now, so she chooses to sneak out. But to her surprise, Cahill has been standing guard by a tree. Suddenly, Prince Marzion appears and is convinced that Enisha is the courtesan he met. The prince shares how lovesick he is and why he is in Latagne to heal his wounded heart, prompting Enisha to use her powers to make him sleep again, cause she has no time to listen to his confession. She then uses her lovely smile to ask Cahill to let her go and see her father, causing him to sigh before agreeing to take care of the twins. Enisha races to where the two are, But before she arrives, she runs into Avartia, who right away reveals that their meeting in Latagne was simply a coincidence. He then informs her that Rodgo recognized him as the hawkman and attempted to kill him, forcing him to make clear that only the body he is using will be hurt. Enisha firmly tells him not to touch her family, which makes Avartia smile in agreement because he too does not want to make a bad impression on his father-in-law. This is really bothering her, and she is aware that he's after her soul, yet he continues to pursue her. Avartia kneels before her and says that she shouldn't have sealed him before and should have just killed him instead. Am I tripping, or does that face look like he really likes her? So guys, what do you think of this story so far? Please subscribe and turn on notifications for updates on this and all our other stories, so you can be the first to find out when they're out. Thank you so much for your support. See you in the next one!